hoc committee investigating police corruption today that the police have now set their crosshairs on those behind her assassination. Masemola was responding to questions from committee member Glenys Breitenbach, who questioned why the alleged kingpins have not been apprehended.
Well, I now know who are the masters of that, and we are busy with them. You recall that the case of those that were convicted was investigated by the Hawks, and now we are investigating a case of the masterminds done by the GC Ops Gauteng. So we know them. We are dealing with that matter.
To the courts now, the NPA says it's disappointed by a Johannesburg High Court judgment releasing alleged crime kingpin Katiso KT Molefe on bail. Today, the High Court overturned an order by the Alexandra Magistrates Court which had denied Molefe bail. Molefe is accused of calling hits on musicians DJ Sambodi and DJ Vintos, whose real names were Upasifoka as well as Hector Buthelezi. He has also featured prominently in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and is accused of being involved in a major drug cartel. The NPA had opposed his appeal in the High Court, but Judge Brad Wanless ruled that Molefe's release is in the interests of justice and that the magistrate court made an error in finding otherwise. NPA spokesperson Pindim Jonodwan.
We did not expect such a disappointing outcome. However, as the NPA, we are bound by court's decisions, and for us now going forward is for us to study the judgment.
At the same time, evidence leaders from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will be making an application to have their next witness testify in a closed session. The team does not want the media and members of the public allowed during the testimony of its next witness. The commission will resume on Monday following a week's break. Last week, crime intelligence boss Dumsane Khumalo testified for 3 days before falling ill. While Khumalo is still required to provide evidence for another 2 days, Madlanga Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels has confirmed he is not the next witness to testify.
If the Commission grants the application, the hearings will then proceed in camera until further notice. We must clarify that Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, the SAPS head of crime intelligence, will not testify during this period.
To this now, City Power has welcomed the Gauteng High Court's decision to set aside the search warrant used by the Hawks during a raid at its headquarters. The court has ruled in favour of the utility's urgent application, which sought to have the Hawks' recent search and seizure operation declared unlawful. The crime-fighting unit raided City Power's offices last month as part of an ongoing investigation into questionable contracts. But the court found that the warrant authorising the raid was defective and it failed to clearly outline the scope of the operation. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangina.
The ruling affirms our strong-held view that the so-called investigation against City Power has been marred by irregularities, procedural flaws, and a flagrant disregard for the due processes. In today's proceedings, we really argued and exposed the fundamental defects in the Hawks application.
And French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to announce the country's next prime minister today. It follows the resignation of Sébastien Lecornu on Monday. His resignation followed months of a stalemate over an austerity budget. French politics have been deadlocked ever since Macron gambled last year on snap polls. He had hoped that the polls would consolidate power, but ended instead in a hung parliament. Gold is trading at $3,998.54 an ounce. The rand is at 17.22 to the dollar, 22.86 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.87 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you are leaving Edenville heading towards Bedfordview, slow-moving traffic, that's on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's if you are heading into the Soweto area or in Pinville on Chris Hani Road opposite Maponya Mall, and there's still slow-moving traffic in Protea Glen. This is on the N12 westbound approaching the R558.
And in your sport, Kaizer Chiefs part ways with coach Nazruddin Nabi by mutual consent. Hugo Bruce feels Zimbabwe will be a tough outing in World Cup qualifying, and the latest from the Women's Cricket World Cup.
It's a partly cloudy Friday afternoon with showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has assured Parliament that the police are now dealing with the masterminds behind Babita Deokaran's murder.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 7 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 10th of October. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. There have been questions asked about whether a parliamentary committee really does add much value to the work that the Madlanga Commission is doing and will do. Well, today we got an answer in the resoundingly affirmative. A good number of MPs were well prepared today, very focused and precise in their questioning of Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola. And in the process, they laid bare lots of important information and, crucially, some questions that need answering going forward. So, take a bow. Julius Malema, the DA's Glynis Breitenbach, and the ANC's Xola Ngola. And there were some others as well, who I'll mention later. I was impressed. Some other stories we're doing. You wouldn't think that international criminal syndicates would be interested in stealing our country's plants, but they are, particularly the indigenous succulents. The thieving is on an industrial scale. The profits are huge, and the damage, both financially and ecologically, I would imagine is considerable. More on that in a moment. We'll look ahead to Bafana Bafana's must-win World Cup match against Zimbabwe with commentator Mark Gleeson. That's coming up at 20 past 3. Kickoff, by the way, is at 6 p.m. Match being played down in Durban at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. If you're on your way there, give us a call. How optimistic are you? I hope it's going to be a full house. We need a lot of noise. There can be slips even at this late stage. We don't need another one. And in our weekly feature, a song, a book, and a dish, we'll be joined by someone who very, very rarely slipped.
This has got a good start. Simbine going well. Blake's under massive pressure. Simbine becomes the Commonwealth champion. 10:03. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. And he has upset the form book and produced an absolutely sensational performance.
South African sprint legend Akani Simbine joining us at around 25 minutes to 6. He'll tell us about a favorite book, a special song, and share with us some memories of food and the family and friends that he sat around tables with. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets, where it has been a much quieter day for the all share. Even record breakers, I guess, have to take a rest at some point. What better day, I suppose, than a Friday? The all-share retreating below the 110,000 point level after going above 111,000 earlier this week, down by 595 points, currently trading at 109,646. Interestingly, after days of domination by gold and platinum, it's retail stocks that are leading the pack today. Pick n Pay up by 8.9%. You can be sure there's a story there. Tiger Brands by 4.4%. Boxer, with the connections to Pick n Pay, of course, up by 3.9%. And Premier by 3.5%. Rand currently trading at 17.20 against the US dollar, 10 cents weaker than it was this time yesterday. Euro Rand also down in the Euro's favor, 19 Rand 90. That's 10 cents weaker from our point of view than 24 hours ago. 22 Rand 84 will get you a pound. That's a 4 cent improvement, 4%. That would be nice. The oil price is down by 94 cents. Brent crude trading at $64.25 a barrel. Stephen Curtis with us with all the details at 4:25. And I'm sure Pick and Pay will feature strongly in whatever he has to share. We'll get sport with Anthony Teixeira. Bali Dlamini has the latest news headlines. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. And if it's happening in 702 land, we'll do our best to bring it to you first. And quite often we're able to do that. But quite often, we do it with your help. Maybe you've seen something, heard something. There's a story we don't know about. Do drop us a note, please, at 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. Keen to hear, by the way, whether you were watching or may be watching now the engagement with the police commissioner in Parliament, particularly if you watched the morning and session and the contributions from MPs around midday. As I said, I thought it was good, and I started the week off very critical of a committee that got off to a false start with all sorts of wrangling that I thought, to some degree at least, was more performative than productive. But they've hit the ground. They're working long shifts too. Good for Parliament. I think that is all to the good. And hopefully they'll come up with more information. 3:12.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about. And indeed, one of the things we like thinking about are some of the things that are not kind of important with a capital I, but can be important even if they might be somewhat random, because they're things that pop into our heads about the way we go about living our lives. Jonathan Fairbairn putting the show together today, as always, with Rifue Letsua. Happy Friday. If I put that in an email to some people, you were telling me I might get a bit of backlash.
Yeah, some people get touched by Happy Friday, or hope you're having a
touched on their
good
mouse
week so far, or thus far. So this was a tweet that I'd seen from a guy called Johan Bierman on Twitter, on X, sorry, and he says, people who start their emails with Happy Friday, I can't deal, get out, he says.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, Johan, for bringing a little bit of cheer to your emails on a Friday morning. But there's a thing for some people when you're communicating with on email with people.
Yes.
Even a simple, I hope this email finds you well, or whatever, can really touch people. And then, if it's the first email comms that you're sending to them, and maybe you're trying to do business or get in touch with somebody, it could kind of sour it from the start. But then again, are people just a little bit too precious when it comes to email communication? I mean, it comes from a good place.
Yes.
These things. Maybe lazy place as well sometimes. But yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion to have about email.
And what presumably applies to WhatsApps as well, or do those tend to be more crisp, more people's expectation is a little diminished because you're going a bit faster?
Well, I suppose WhatsApp is maybe a little bit more personal than an email.
Okay.
That's my thoughts. But yeah, are there things that you shouldn't be saying in an email to start off with? So, for me, I don't mind what you send me. You can say Happy Friday. You can say hope all is well. Trust this email finds you well. Hope you're having a great week. Whatever it is, it's fine by me.
Yes.
But if we've started a chat on email, so you've said hi Kabazela, and you asked me a question, and I've responded hi John, blah 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 blah. But what do you think about this? And then you come back to me again and say hi Kabazela. So we don't have to.
I
say
hope you're
hi.
still well.
Yeah.
I hope you're still well.
I hope this email still finds you well. But I mean, you don't have to keep saying my name or hi Kabazela, hi this. You can go straight into the point of the conversation. That's for me.
First of all, happy Friday, Karabo. I trust you well, and I hope you've had a good week and that you've got a good weekend lined up, and that's. The shirt I'm wearing is one that you like. Seriously though, your written communication style. What do you like to get, and what do you give out?
So with me, with WhatsApp, I find it very informal. So I usually just send a message without even saying hi.
Yes.
What? I'll just say, hey, John, this is my idea for today. Forget about the good mornings. But then the one that just ticks me off, I don't know if the payroll woman is listening, but every time when you get the email for our paychecks, she'll always send the memes or saying, hey, it's payday, happy payday. And I'm like, oh, the debit orders are coming.
That's not her
But
fault.
that's your problem, not
Yes.
hers.
Oh, but hey, it's standard procedure, Chief. It's standard procedure. I should be getting my salary. It's something that's just, we have
But I
to
mean, if
get.
she started off by saying here today, gone tomorrow, I mean, I don't think you'd be too happy with that either. And okay, so I have to say, I tend to always do hi again. I'm that guy. And I also always check my spelling. I try not to send any written communication with spelling mistakes, which is ridiculous on one level, but it is an old habit, maybe from being a print journalist. But please tell us what you like to get, what you give out, and do you have any alternatives to hope you well, trust you well, hope this email finds you well? There must be some really good ones.
But also, I mean, without the alternatives to it,
Right.
what is your point for saying hi, hope you're well? It's because I would imagine most people would think they don't want to come across as being rude to the person.
Yes.
But then you say that, and the person receiving it, then, why are you asking me, am I well?
Yeah, but the person who's asking, do they really care?
Well,
Actually.
it's the same as if you meet somebody on the streets.
No,
And say,
we
how
don't.
are you?
I suppose we don't, but
We don't.
the alternative.
See, that's the condescending part of it. Because, now you don't
I'm
care,
not
but
being
you're asking.
No, but anyway. All right. Okay. I do care deeply. Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702. What I find tricky, just a last thought, is once I've started off a relationship with somebody where I'm, always saying, hope you're doing well, hope you had a good weekend, hope things are going well or whatever. I find if I don't keep doing that, they may think, oh, what have I done? He's gone off me, which is completely deluded because the real likelihood is they absolutely couldn't care. But tell us, some people, feel strongly about these things, and others may think, what's the fuss about? Give us a ring either way on 072 702 1702. Traffic, Rabo Charlie, how's we looking?
How is it going on in the traffic? Are you good? Is things nice? Is traffic free flowing? Are you happy? Otherwise, things are not looking too bad at this stage in the traffic. But it is peak hour traffic. If you're heading into Soweto, there's slow moving traffic. That's in the Pinville area. That's on Chris Honey Road between Bara Hospital and Klipspruit Valley. Still in Soweto, that's in the Protea Lane area. There's slow moving traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. And there's also slow moving traffic heading into Bedford View. That's in the Edenvale area, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. Otherwise, the rest of Gauteng not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights though in the four-ways area at Witkoppen and Monte Cassino Boulevard, as well as in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nodia and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, well, let's get into one of the weekend's big stories. I think it is a big story, particularly if things don't go exactly the way we hope. Bafana were pretty much nailed on to get a place at next year's World Cup finals in North America. And then the rest, a setback with FIFA docking 3 points, changing our goal difference with a 3-0 penalty. I don't know if you call it, that's the way to describe it, but our goal difference shifted. So now we're second in the group. 2 games to play. We play against Zimbabwe tonight at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. And we're up against Rwanda at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday. So the word coming out of the camp is that they know what they have to do. They always knew they had to win these games and not much has changed. But is that actually the case? Or might there be a few rattled moments in the Bafana camp, particularly if Zimbabwe start off well? Mark Leeson has seen a lot of football in many years as a journalist and commentator, and he joins us now. Mark, a very good afternoon to you. I mean, is this still fairly straightforward for Bafana, or has it got a lot more tricky? Good afternoon.
Hi, John. I think it's got a lot more tricky. I think it would have been it would be more functionary and a lot easier had they had that 3-point advantage and had they not forfeited those points. So I think it certainly has made it a lot more difficult. On the plus side, both of the matches are home, even though the Zimbabwe game tonight is, in theory, a home match for Zimbabwe. And our closest opponents, Benin, play their games away from home in Rwanda, who still have an outside chance, so they're not going to be rolling over, and Nigeria, who also have an outside chance. So I think South Africa's stock is still pretty strong, but it could have been a lot stronger had it not been for the folly of the yellow card.
Yeah, it is really quite a mess. I mean, does that point to a larger dysfunction that even if we get through to the World Cup, that Bafana and, you know, its team leadership may want to get straightened out? I mean, does SAFA give the team the kind of logistical backing and efficiency that a high-performing team needs?
I think, to be fair, we've got to be careful not to SAFA bash too much. I mean, you know, they've forked out a lot of money. There've been charter flights to places like Nigeria, example, to make things easier. I mean, that, you know, those things cost an absolute fortune.
Yes.
So they certainly, I think it's not like the old days where it was really tough traveling around the continent. But this was a very poor slip up, and you can lay the blame all over the place. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it starts with the coach. And in today's modern football, all coaches are aware of the disciplinary situation of their players, because oftentimes it affects the selection. You know, sometimes if a player is under threat of suspension, you leave him out of the team because you want to save him for a different match. So, in my opinion, it rests with the coach. He's ultimately the head of the team, and he should have known the disciplinary situation. There are a lot of other people like the team manager who are coming under flack in the general public debate, but I think at the end of the day, it starts and finishes with the coach.
Yeah, I expressed the same view and got a substantial pushback from listeners, but there you go. Mark, how good is this team? I mean, if you look at the numbers, they've won consistently. They're hard to beat. Bafana are very, very different to perhaps where they were before Hugo Bruce. I mean, what's your take on them? You've watched them over many decades now.
Well, I've got to be honest, John, I'm not a Bruce fan. I don't think he has substantially changed things. I think this is an exciting generation of footballers. They would have done as well, if not better, with someone else potentially. I mean, that's all conjecture, really. You could never verify that. But I think we're in exciting times in terms of playing talent. We've got some incredibly exciting youngsters coming through. It shows the strength, I think, of the league locally. It's got better and better, just in terms of prowess and the understanding of the game and the way it's played, the physical aspect of it, the fitness of the players, and it's a big footballing country with great resources. You know, it's the passion of the people, and there are a lot of people who play football, and you should expect, therefore, that the talent begins to come through. I think the pathways also these days are much better. There are more academies. The bigger clubs have decent scouting. So I think there's a lot to be positive about South African football, and I think this generation has given it a real boost. Qualifying for the World Cup obviously is essential for the industry. It would be a real tragedy if it's not. But I don't see Bruce as someone who's come into this country, waved the magic wand, and saved South Africa from itself. I think that's a complete myth.
Thanks very much. Well, we're certainly hoping for a good result down at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Mark Gleeson, football commentator and follower of Bafana for as long as there's been such a thing, and followed football for many years before that. Give me your thoughts about, firstly, what Mark said about why the team is succeeding. Very bullish about the overall state of South African football, and your thoughts on how the game might go tonight. We thank Mark for his time. 3:25.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, we're not just rich in football potential, but we are also extremely rich in plants, indigenous plants that appear to be very, very popular in parts of Europe, the United States, and Asia. Now, there's been a study done, and the study that was put together by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime has found that 650 unique South African succulent species are implicated in illicit trade. And this is not just a couple of people stealing a couple of plants. It's on an industrial scale in terms of how large it is, but secondly, it is connected to organized crime syndicates. So what is going on? Intuitively, if somebody had said organized criminal syndicates are in your country, our country, stealing your plants, I would have said, well, tell me more, because that doesn't sound plausible. But we've covered this before, and it appears it's getting worse. Melissa Castlemaine is an analyst at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, and she joins us now on 702. Ms. Castlemaine, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. What is the value of these plants? Are they being sold for medicinal and other purposes, or is it purely because they're decorative, people are using them in landscaping and so on? Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, John, and afternoon to all the visitors. Thanks so much for having me on. And thanks for the introduction. It's really good to hear everything you mentioned, and everything you mentioned is absolutely true. So in terms of why the plants are being stolen, it doesn't really have anything to do with the medicinal value, but it's more about the aesthetic value. And maybe I can take you a step back and just talk about how that landscape has changed over time.
Yes.
Before 2020, it was generally overseas tourists who would visit South Africa themselves and pull plants out of the wild that they liked looking at. But we've seen a spike in the trade since 2020, which has been attributed to the COVID-19 lockdown, in part because those overseas tourists couldn't come to the country anymore, so they recruited locals to poach plants for them and send them then with postal services, but also because so many people were locked indoors and those plants were a way to transform their environment to a green space. That dynamic is what led to what we're seeing today, which is more organization and commercialization, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Those plants, they're collected to satisfy an international demand for plants. Ornamental plants have aesthetic qualities, so they could be really pretty to look at. They could be really small plants that are cute, or they have vivid colors and a nice aroma.
So one of the things that you've found is that there may be a connection between syndicates involved in this and involved in other things, rhino horn poaching, drugs, and so on. I mean, that does put this all in a very, very different dimension, because what you described at the start, Ms. Castlemaine, is people who kind of say, oh, I love those plants, I'd like to get more, whereas this is serious players who would probably go to serious lengths not to lose this income stream.
Yes, that's absolutely true. So what we're seeing today in the illegal plant trade is a mix of actors, and it looks very much like transnational organized crime. So at one end, we have local harvesters, which are people in rural areas, sometimes foreign nationals, and they are approached by intermediaries and offered cash to collect the plants. We've also heard about some of these poachers being paid in drugs. But that's just the front end. Behind it, we also have different role players with segmented roles, which is something we see within organized syndicates. And that can include collectors and dealers in Asia, Europe, and in the US.
Yeah. And No, do finish your point.
I wanted to say that it used to be a niche hobby, but it has turned into a criminal economy. And if we look at Clivia, for example, more than 15,000 plants have been stripped from a single site where they occur. That's not casual picking anymore. That's commercial poaching.
So the cost to the country would be a lost opportunity, because presumably if there's a market for this, we ought to be creating a business opportunity, an agribusiness that would actually bring wealth to the country. But presumably, if it's this kind of random and uncontrolled stripping, I would think there are ecological consequences as well.
Absolutely. I would say the cost is economic, ecological, and reputational. It's not just in rands and cents. So we are losing unique plant species, and these plant species, they take decades to evolve, and they're not found anywhere else in the world. Economically, enforcement and rehabilitation are draining very scarce conservation budgets, and reputationally, it's undermining South Africa's standing as a biodiversity leader. At the number of plants that have been seized since 2019, it's in the millions, and that is a huge, huge enforcement burden. The plants cannot be returned to the wild. They need to be cared for by conservation agencies, so space and resources to house them and look after them.
Thank you so much. I mean, it is a quite extraordinary story. You can read more about it on the Daily Maverick site, but we thank Melissa Castlemaine, analyst at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. By the way, this thing of stealing plants, I mean, on a couple of WhatsApp groups I'm on, people talk about people who just come around and steal plants that they've got in their pavements. So, I mean, there's that phenomenon. But if you have any experience or a view perhaps on this, as I say, industrial scale, she's talking about literally millions of plants getting stolen. If you've got a thought on that, perhaps it's something that touches a corner of your life, give me a call. 011 883 0702. It's 28 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. And Bali Tlameni keeping up with a very, very busy news day. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. The Special Investigating Unit has stacked a number of governance deficiencies and mismanagement allegations against the former CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Collins Letswalo. It comes on the third day of a parliamentary inquiry into RAF. Letswalo's contract ended in August, and he has in the past dismissed the claims, saying in fact his decisions led to saving the fund millions of rands. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Appearing before Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts today, the Special Investigating Unit presented a detailed account of numerous investigations it's carried out at the Road Accident Fund since 2021. SIU head Andy Mutibi says it is their view that the litany of governance failures at the fund gave rise to mismanagement and the inability of the fund to deliver on its mandate to compensate accident victims. This included the cancellation of a panel of attorneys to consider the claims without an alternative in place.
This has cost the Road Accident Fund immensely, and if it was done appropriately, it would possibly not have incurred those costs.
Former CEO Collins Letswalo has also been linked to irregularity in a 66 million rand lease for the fund's Johannesburg office.
The former CEO interfered in the procurement process in that he authorized the re-evaluation of the already evaluated bid.
The SIU says Letswalo is still to respond to the findings of this investigation. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Trade leaders gathered in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape for the G20 meetings say calls for reforms in the World Trade Organization are again front and center of talks. The G20 Trade and Investment Ministerial meeting kicked off today after 4 days of deliberations by the working group. This is the last time trade officials are meeting before the highly anticipated Leaders Summit next month. Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau delivered the opening remarks earlier today. Nogukanyam is there with the latest.
Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau says it's important to send a clear message on reforms that need to be undertaken to inform work in the World Trade Organization, given emerging challenges to global trade. The WTO is the largest multilateral trade organization and the foundation of the global trading system. But for years it's been labelled as outdated and unable to deal with the complexities of the changing global order. Norwegian Trade Secretary Ragnhild Sista spoke on the matter on the sidelines.
We believe it's important that the WTO can remain a global good, and that is the common interest and our common responsibility.
Experts previously said the tariff crisis sparked by US President Donald Trump is exactly the right time to talk trade reforms. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
And on World Mental Health Day, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group says South Africans need to work together to break the stigma around mental health. The group is marking the day under the theme of raising awareness and mobilizing efforts for mental health support. SADC says it will be embarking on a nationwide campaign to offer support to all South Africans. Its operations director, Casey Chambers, says 9 out of 10 people living with a mental illness do not have access to the treatments they need.
Alone, we can do so much, but together we can do so much more. And this year's theme really reminds us that mental health affects every family, every community. And by standing together, we can break down that stigma and strengthen these partnerships and create hope for millions of South Africans who need it so much.
It's a partly cloudy Friday afternoon with afternoon showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 27 degrees.
Edenville heading towards Bedford View, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange in Protea Lane, Soweto. Bumper-to-bumper traffic N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R559.
The top story in EWN, the Special Investigating Unit has stacked a number of governance deficiencies and mismanagement allegations against the former CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Collins Letswalo.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I'm really concerned. We are starting at the end with the Sodis, Maumelas, and the cats. Why don't we start where it started? Who authorized? Where are those people? But now we're only concentrating on these thieves. And what made me cry, seeing so many Lamborghinis. I'm just thinking one Lamborghini would paint so many hospitals. I wish him all the bad luck.
That's why on Wednesday this week we spoke about the bid adjudicating committees and how do tenders get signed off. And you're right, Mama. We need to go back to the people who also authorized and signed off on these tenders. Because I bet you, if you look closely, some of those benefited something.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
Step up to the plate and hit it out of the park. The Major League Baseball season is upon us, and Hollywood Bets is giving you a chance to swing for the fences. The marathon of excitement is packed with storylines and rivalries that keep fans hooked from the first pitch to the last out. The iconic American sport is renowned for its intensity, and this is the golden opportunity for South African fans to bet on baseball and win big. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
In a world shaped by those who build, disrupt, and reimagine, there comes a gathering not just of minds, but of futures. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank, is where top entrepreneurs, innovators, and changemakers converge. It's where the future of enterprise is redefined. On 5 and 6 November, you could be there. Stand a chance to win tickets to the South African Future Trust Summit on 702. WhatsApp the keyword SAFT with your name and ID number, telling us how you would benefit from attending the summit to 072-702-1702. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a winner. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank. Your summit, your way, on 702. TCs and more on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, hi. I completely disagree with Mark Gleason's last point that Hugo Bruce is not to be credited or should not be credited for where Bafana is today. Now, I mean, I don't understand. In the past decade, how many coaches has Bafana changed trying to qualify for AFCON, let alone the World Cup? AFCON, we failed to qualify for AFCON with the same country with so much resources, with the same country with so much talent, with the same country with so much passion for football, as he says. That's like saying Manchester United, if they finally get a manager who can then make them win leagues year after year, and then suddenly people say, no, don't credit him because United should be winning in any case because they got the resources, they got the money. Forgetting that in the past decade, they've hired so many managers and they've failed. Charles, Kensington.
Good afternoon, John. I'm so disappointed. Mark, the veteran, he's the first and I think he's the last person to discredit Hugo Bruce. Bruce put in discipline and removed even media that used to say this, criticize him. He did what he thought was right. And the guys are playing well too. It's not because of these guys. They've been trying to play, they've been beaten. But since he came in, he instilled something. So I would like to differ with Mark here. Thank you, Cecilia.
Thanks for those and a nice debate. Let's keep it going. Time to talk sports and all the other things that are going on, including, of course, that vital match at the Moses Mabhida Stadium this evening. Gotta beat Zimbabwe. Let's get the latest from the camp with Anthony Teixeira.
EWN Sport.
Anthony, I know you've got another story before that. I want to jump the queue and come in with something else. I heard you talking to Mandy a little bit earlier with your sports wrap at the end of her show, and you were saying you just couldn't bear to watch the Proteas women.
Yes.
I switched it on when I got home, so that would have been around 6:30. I probably had about 40 minutes to watch. That was fabulous.
It was.
Nadine de Klerk, she comes in as a number 8 batter. 84 or 54 balls. She hit 5 sixes. We won with 7 balls to spare. And at one point, we were 142 for 6. That was absolutely brilliant. You should have watched.
Yeah, listen, it was sensational, that first innings. The bowling, that the first half of the Indian innings. The South African bowling was exceptional.
Yeah.
And then I just couldn't handle it.
The way they bowled in the last 20, eh?
It was Nadine de Klerk's over, to be fair.
Yes.
That just sort of spiraled out. And then I just couldn't handle it. And then she dropped a catch as well. Honestly, John, everything that match had. But yes, the Proteas women picking up another win.
Fabulous.
And against co-hosts as well. Let's not forget.
India, yeah, absolutely.
That crowd was well on their back.
Yeah. That was fantastic. If you watched it, by the way, give us a call and share your thoughts. Anthony, we're starting off with Chiefs.
We are starting off with Kaizer Chiefs because rumours had been widespread that coach Nazruddin Nabi and Kaizer Chiefs would be ending their professional relationship. Today we received confirmation. Amakosi and the Tunisian manager calling time on his stay by mutual consent. Nabi had been in charge of the club since before the start of last season. A difficult year for them, with the Soweto Giants finishing 9th in the Betway Premiership and for successive years missing out on a spot in the MTN 8. Reports have emerged that Nabi's UEFA Pro license may have expired and the papers that he had no longer were applicable in CAF competitions. Bafana will be hunting for 3 vital points against Zimbabwe in 2026 World Cup qualifying this evening. Coach Hugo Bruce says our neighbours won't be taking it easy on the team despite our away game being played at home in Durban.
Zimbabwe has always been a very difficult opponent and it will not be different tomorrow. They are very motivated when I read their comments. Also, we don't have to expect favors from them. It was clear if you 2-3 weeks ago want to play this game in Botswana, but we don't need them. We don't need their favors. If we want to win, we want to do it correctly. We believe in it.
Kickoff is 6 p.m. The South Africans find themselves second in Group C due to an inferior goal difference compared to Benin's. In a tell-all interview with the BBC, Premier League referee Anthony Taylor criticised the expectation of perfection that VAR has brought to the game since its introduction. He says it's created an environment which sees officials operate from a place filled with fear of failure and mistakes. He also shared that he no longer brings family members to matches due to safety concerns. In rugby, a Bulls coach, Johan Ackerman, has wasted no time in drafting in the Springboks into his URC squad, as he's named 8 in the squad to face Ulster Saturday. The most exciting sees double World Cup winning fly half Handré Pollard back in blue after 6 years in Europe, and heading to the Women's Cricket World Cup, where Bangladesh restricted New Zealand to 227 for 9 half centuries from Black Ferns captains Sophie Devine and Brooke Holiday. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, Fridays are always busy. Let's get the very latest from the roads. Karabo Chale, good afternoon.
Well, at this stage, if you are in the Ekurhuleni area, slow-moving traffic in the Edenville area, that's the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. Bedfordview, traveling towards Germiston, there's slow-moving traffic. N3 southbound between Linksford Road and Van Buren in Devland. That's traveling towards Eldorado Park. There's traffic pressure on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue due to ongoing roadworks. Also, bumper-to-bumper traffic still in Soweto Protea Glen on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R559 in Irene Pretoria. Traffic pressure that's approaching the intersection of Nelmay Pierce Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 13 minutes to 4. Just wanted to remind you that in addition to listening to us, you can also see us in the studio as we deliver the show. It's always nice to know that some of you are actually watching what we do. I'm just looking at the screen now. Let's give a nice big wave to everybody. The whole team is then. You can see the circumstances in which we work. Just go to YouTube, type in 702 Drive, my name, and the word live, and then you can take a look at us. Anthony's in, and Karabo Chale is sitting where he normally sits, and we all dressed to the apps. What's the opposite of being dressed to the nines? Like dressed to the fours or something? Fives, maybe. Yeah, fives, maybe. We dressed to the fives, dressed to the sevens, in keeping with our name. Anthony, we've been talking about politeness and polite ways of engaging with people, particularly when you're emailing, but also if you're using WhatsApp or any other kind of written communication. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on, I think I've got the YouTube feed on as well, and that's making noise in the background. There we go. Sorted that out. Sorry, I've only been doing this 5 years. But we've been asking about, people who say Happy Friday, and then they follow with their email, particularly if you don't know them. A couple of listeners are responding to that. Marek says, John, I trust that you are well. Interesting discussion. Thank you, Marek. To which I should probably say something like love your work or whatever. Thank you, Marek. And Vainan says, the reason that you start off high, I hope you're doing well, I feel, is it's just a polite way of starting a conversation. I'm kind of in that camp, but we've had this before where people say, if you don't really care about how I am, don't bother asking, because particularly, people say, well, actually, how are you doing? Not that well. But how are you in email? So do you, we don't have an email relationship. So
no, we've never.
I don't
we
know
probably
why.
should start.
We should
talk
about that.
I'm a trust you well.
Yeah, I trust
I'm not,
you well.
Yeah, I'm not asking, hope everything's going well. I just trust you well. And here's the details. Mainly because I usually don't care how somebody is or isn't doing. If I'm communicating with you on email, it's because I need something from you or you need something from me. So let's just get down to business. The one thing that really upsets me is when people sign off an email saying, hope to hear from you soon. because
What-
it
why,
almost
what's wrong with that?
It feels like it implies that I don't respond to your emails.
No.
It feels passive aggressive. Maybe it's my mindset that's the issue, but that line.
So I often end with, particularly when I do want an answer, because in the email is a set of stuff we might engage on. I always say, look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Oh.
No, that's not going to work. You know this
This
email
is why we don't
relationship we
email.
were weighing up? Let's leave it. Let's just leave it. I hope you're well, by the way. And I hope you don't. Yeah, this is not going to flourish. Okay, but give us your thoughts, please. It's so interesting that all of this can be quite loaded for people. I mean, we spoke about the opening of emails. How about that ending, which Anthony says he doesn't like? Hope to hear from you soon. Passive aggressive. I thought, look forward to hearing your thoughts. Is that better, worse, or just leave it all out completely? Keep those coming on 011 883 0702. And if you do send us a text message, you don't have to start with any kind of pleasantry. Straight to the point, please. It's 9 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, at 9 minutes to 4, you may not know this, but this week, from the 6th to the 10th of September, all week in other words, has been International Customer Service Week. It's a global tribute to the importance of great service and the people who deliver it every day. This year, MTN is marking the occasion by highlighting its mission to serve you better, from fighting fraud to simplifying services and fixing frustrations. It's all part of MTN's ongoing journey to make life easier for customers. Joining us to share more is Cornelia van Heerden. She's the executive responsible for customer experience and services at MTN South Africa. Cornelia, very good afternoon to you and welcome to the show. Customer service is a little bit of a moving target because services change, expectations change, and indeed kind of social graces change, as we've just been discussing in terms of what kind of things you put when you write people an email. So, I mean, how's MTN try to move with the times and, if possible, stay ahead?
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much for having us. So customer service is indeed moving, and we've seen a lot of technology changes supporting us in that. I mean, a few years ago, it was just call centers, but now we do WhatsApp chats and we do social media and we do indeed do emails. I will remind myself not
Yes.
to write hear from you soon, but we really try to stay on top of what customers want. So, for example, WhatsApp is a channel where customers really like to engage. It's where they already are. So we've really pushed that. That is one of the things we've pushed this year, is the WhatsApp chat.
So you've upgraded your app, for example. What changes have you made, and how do you think that might give people an experience of customer service as opposed to just efficiency? Because I know they're related, but I would think they're not the same thing.
No, it's really trying to listen to what customers want.
Yes.
So we've taken the app and we've listened to customer feedback, and we've moved some things around, put stuff that makes more sense to customers up front and on the screen. It's also now customizable, so you can move your tiles around the way you want it. And then, of course, new features, things like switching on roaming or on off is now on the home screen, things like getting your bill easily, all things that customer asked us for. Our authentication method is now facial biometrics, so that's also now in the app. So all these things help us to make the things that customers want rather than just the things we think are important to customers.
How do you gauge, Cornelia, how customers feel about the service they're getting? Because obviously, if you go way, way back, face to face, you have a conversation. Call centers, you have admittedly a mediated conversation because you can't see the people at the other end of the line. The more technology becomes part of the way in which you engage with us, does it limit the extent to which you know what we think?
Actually, technology helped us a lot. So technology helped us to do a lot of things that we can, for example, we can work through all our call recordings with AI and pick up the themes that people are complaining about, things that frustrate people. We do a lot of surveys, so after call surveys, after any interaction, you get a survey. You can also in our stores now scan a QR code and tell us your thoughts. And all that data goes into an analytics engine that then pulls out the themes and things that say these are the things that are important for customers and these are the things we want to work on.
Where do you, though, pick up some of the subtleties that I would think are a key part of driving perspective on innovation. So, for example, if I'm asked, what are you satisfied with? Maybe I really like something, but you don't necessarily know what it is I really like about it. And if you did, there might be in there the germ of an idea that you could scale up and spread through not necessarily all of your operations, but at least a measurable part of them.
This week, we've spent a lot of time in stores and also in the call centers, our teams, and went out to the stores. And they spoke to people. So we did focus groups and spoke to people to also get that face-to-face. And you're right, the technology does a lot of the hard slog work and going through all the detail, but really taking some of our assumptions and then validate and test it with customers in focus groups and in stores and in the call centers when we were talking to them to get the perspective to say, I mean, would you like this, and what do you think of this, and do you like the new app, and what do you think of the layout? So we also get feedback directly from customers what they think of the stuff that we've built.
I'm interested to know, I mean, what are the key areas where customer satisfaction is kind of, I wouldn't call it on a knife edge, but that's overstating it, but where you must have a couple of make or break things. I would have thought price is one thing, quality of calls, and hopefully a reasonably low level of things like dropped calls and so on. But do you have key metrics that maybe can't be fixed in customer service, but maybe need a technical solution?
So, I mean, we're always looking at improving our processes, but certainly if you look at our product, our network is the key base of our product, and we do win a lot of accolades for our network. We have really invested in our network, and we've got a really good network. The thing, though, is, as you say, price is always an issue for anybody. We all want to get the best for the cheapest possible price. So we try and work a lot with making the product in such a way that it gives the customer the best of both worlds, so the best quality for the price that they pay.
Right.
And then we've got different things that we can scale down. So for some customers, certain things are not that important. So if the customer wants to pay less, but the speed is not as important as the amount of data, we've created some products to balance those things as customers ask. But mostly when they do get into our support channels, the most important thing for customers is actually not waiting time or anything. Is my problem solved the first time? So it's something we've really been driving to say, what are those problems that take multiple calls to solve? And really tackling those things to make sure that our agents are enabled to answer and fix the problem first time.
Thanks so much. Really interesting. Cornelia van Heerden is with MTN South Africa, where she is the executive responsible for customer experience and operations. This Customer Service Week, MTN is celebrating its mission to serve you better. At the heart of it all is a powerful promise to listen, care, and act. From enhanced fraud protection to smarter automation and stronger infrastructure, real progress is happening. The data proves it. MTN is on the move. Top wins include faster, safer onboarding with facial biometrics, SIM swap watch list for vulnerable customers to ensure added safety, smoother contract upgrades, and payment confirmations now in under 10 minutes. MTN, making every connection count.
Last orders coming through during your drive home or at midnight. Your customers check out whenever, wherever. With seamless payment integration and over 18 ways to get paid, PayFast by Network is built to keep up. And when it's time to grow, funding with Easy Advance helps you take the next step. Always open for late nights, for early starts, for you. Sign up today at payfast.io. PayFast has partnered with TimeBank to offer funding to your business.
Get ready, Mzansi! Powerball has rolled over to a jaw-dropping 130 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday. Wanala Wasana. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 130 million rand jackpot today. And you could hit it lucky with the big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Hi, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proper play of the National Lottery.
Huawei Watch GT6 Series, 2025's must-have smartwatch, introducing the king of power. Up to 21 days of unstoppable battery life in a sleek titanium and ceramic design that's as strong as it's stylish. The Trackmaster with 24/7 heart rate tracking, sleep monitoring, advanced health management,
management, and the world's first cycling virtual power feature. Fully compatible with both iOS and Android. Get yours now from just 169 Rand a month over 36 months or 4,999 Rand at selected retailers. T's and C's apply.
702 and corporates that care with Investec are talking about Investec's flagship education initiative, ProMaths, in partnership with Kutlwanong Maths, Science and Technology Center.
Started 20 years ago in Dobsonville on a pilot program with 105 pupils. Fast forward to 2025, 28,000 learners have been through the program, and we believe that the impact that this has had has been something beyond numbers, something beyond science. It's about people, purpose and hope. And I think the ability to partner with Kutlwanong to look at how you could build something that could be replicated. So starting with one school in Dobson 20 years ago, now having 19 of these centers operating across South Africa, 10 which are sponsored by Investec and 9 by other sponsors.
Visit mywalk.org.za to learn more. Investec, out of the ordinary. On 702, let's walk the talk.
This is EWN.
Mortal remains of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa arrive in KZN, and the NPA is disappointed with bail being granted to Katiso KT Molefe. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The mortal remains of late South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, have arrived in his home province, KwaZulu-Natal, this afternoon. The politician died in Paris last week. His body will be received by family, former colleagues and friends who are currently gathered at the King Shaka International Airport. A short service is planned to take place at the airport before a memorial service by the ANC later today. Mthethwa, who has been described as a dedicated public servant, will be laid to rest on Sunday in Gwambonambi in the north of the province. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Former colleagues of late Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa, including former ministers, have gathered here at the airport to welcome his remains. During Mthethwa's term as police minister, Bheki Cele worked as police national commissioner. Cele says a lot was achieved for the service during Mthethwa's tenure, including the formation of teams like the Tactical Response Team.
Yeah, quite several teams, by the way, that were formed. That was one of them, TRT Amaparet, famous Amaparet. The other team that was formed was a tracking team in Gauteng, that their responsibility was to track all those people that were wanted by the detectives so that they can face the law.
He has also praised Mthethwa for his life of public service. Later this afternoon, Mthethwa's body will be taken to Mbangeni in northern KZN. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has assured Parliament that the police are now dealing with the masterminds behind Babita Deokaran's murder. 6 men have already been sentenced for killing the Gauteng Health Department financial accountant. Deokaran was murdered in 2021 after she exposed widespread corruption in connection with tenders at the Tembisa Hospital. Masemola told the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption today that the police have now set their crosshairs on those behind her assassination. Masemola was responding to questions from committee member Glenys Breitenbach, who questioned why the alleged kingpins have not been apprehended.
Well, I now know who are the masters of that, and we are busy with them. You'll recall that the case of those that were convicted was investigated by the Hawks, and now we are investigating a case of the mastermind done by the GC Ops Gauteng. So we know them. We are dealing with that matter.
In the courts now, the NPA says it's disappointed by a Johannesburg High Court judgment releasing alleged crime kingpin Katiso KT Molefe on bail. Today, the High Court overturned an order by the Alexandra Magistrates Court which denied Molefe bail initially. Molefe is accused of calling hits on musicians DJ Sambodi and DJ Vintos, whose real names were Upasifuka and Hector Butelezi. He has also featured prominently in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and is accused of being involved in a major drug cartel. The NPA had opposed his appeal in the High Court, but Judge Brad Wanless ruled that Molefe's release is in the interest of justice. NPA spokesperson Pindim Jonondwane.
We did not expect such a disappointing outcome. However, as the NPA, we are bound by court's decisions, and for us now going forward is for us to study the judgment.
We shift our focus to the Eastern Cape now, where management at the Fort Hare University has condemned acts of violence at the Alice campus in Digeni this week. University spokesperson JP Rutt says the torching of two buildings housing exam papers at the institution is tantamount to a coordinated terrorism effort. Students have been demonstrating over what they've termed Vice-Chancellor Sakela Buhlungu's failure to address mismanagement at the institution. Students are also aggrieved by the suspension of the SRC president and the institution's plan to appoint an interim student leader. University spokesperson JP Rutt.
This is a coordinated effort of terrorism. We've seen that the properties were targeted very strategically, and these were properties and facilities that were just recently refurbished. So something has gone from an unrest to something that actually became an act of terrorism.
And French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to announce the country's next prime minister. It follows the resignation of Sébastien Lecornu on Monday. His resignation followed months of a stalemate over an austerity budget. French politics have been deadlocked ever since Macron gambled last year on snap elections. He had hoped the polls would consolidate power, but ended instead in a hung parliament. Gold is trading at $3,998.54 an ounce. The rand is at 17.22 to the dollar, 22.86 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.87 a barrel.
Well, if you're traveling in and out of Alexandra heading towards Midrand, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the N3. In both directions between Marlborough Drive and the Butler Interchange due to ongoing roadworks. Also in Edenville, travelling towards Bedfordview, expect about a 20-minute delay. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis Interchange.
And in your sport, Kaizer Chiefs hand coaching reins to Ben Khalil Yusuf and Cedric Kaze after Nazruddin Nabi's departure. Bafana eyeing 3 points in a must-win World Cup qualifier against Zimbabwe, and McLaren drama off the track and in the courts.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 11 degrees, peaking at 28. Pretoria 12 and 29, and Vereeniging 12 at a high of 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the mortal remains of late South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, have arrived in his home province, KwaZulu-Natal, this afternoon.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. It's Friday and it's great to have you with us on the show. Some good things coming up, quite a variety of them really. We're going to be talking to Babalo Ndenze, our parliamentary reporter, catching up with the second day of questioning and answering in Parliament at the ad hoc committee, and the person who is the focus of everyone's attention, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. That's been going on, and as you might have heard me say a little bit earlier, but I'll repeat it if you've just joined it, I thought some of the MPs were really on the money and came up with some excellent questions. I mentioned Julius Malema, Glynis Breitenbach, Kola Ngola from the African National Congress, and there were some others besides as well who did a particularly good job in coming up with questions that really drove towards facts rather than, the presentation of a set of opinions, which the generally has declined to offer an opinion on. But good stuff, and we'll hear from Babalo a little bit later in the show. That's coming up after 5. Randall's One Song, we do it every Friday. Country fans are going to enjoy this one. Randall with us at 10 to 5. Our other Friday regular is A Song, a Book and a Dish. We'll be delighted to host Olympic sprinter Akani Simbine. Coming up in just a moment, a little spin-off, a side issue, but maybe not such a side issue from all the drama going on in regard to people accused of being heads of criminal syndicates. The private sector, what's the right title for it? Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority, there, I've got that, have suspended 8 officials who registered a security company belonging to Vusumuzi Katmatlala. What's going on there? We've heard before that people suspected of being involved in crime are getting into the security business. It's an alarming prospect, and Chad Thomas from IRS Forensic Investigations will give us his take on that. I did mention to you a little earlier that you don't just have to listen to us. If you want to look at us and watch us in the studio, you can follow us on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in John Perlman Live, Radio 702. That ought to get you there. Has some, well, anyway, let me just read this. And Nelisiwe says, I thought Ntate John was younger, judging him by his voice. First time seeing him on YouTube. Well, there it goes. That's the way it is. People, you must have heard the expression, a great face for radio and all of that. But just clock in. Take a look. You can check out the studio. We work in an absolutely gorgeous space, which I've spoken before, and all my colleagues are there. Karabo Chale, Karabo Malapile, and Anthony Teixeira doing the sports. Stephen Krutis will be popping in about 15 minutes' time as well. Comments on some of the issues that we've been talking about today. We asked you about pleasantries in emails, some strong views on that, and a lot of much stronger views on football commentator Mark Leeson's opinion on Hugo Bruce and what he's contributed to Bafana's success. Let's take a listen to a few of your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Mike here. Regarding emails, before emails, electronic mail, we had snail mail, normal letters. In a normal letter, you would write, Dear so-and-so, how are you? So, I don't know, I suppose it's relative. If you need an answer straight away and you ask them, it's relative. Ask them to reply by CIB. Depends on who you're sending the email to.
Hi, Dr. John and the team. I think that the reason why I would say I hope you're well is that I hope you're well enough to read my email, because if you weren't well, you probably miss it, and I wouldn't send it if I didn't have to. That's where I take it from.
Malome John, a very beautiful afternoon to you. I would like to disagree with Mark because Hugo Bruce has done so much for the squad. He has done so much for Bafana Bafana. We have to give him his flowers. Mark has been here with us. He has done nothing for Bafana Bafana. He is a legend. We respect him, but he should give credit when it's due. And I fully disagree with him. Thank you, Malome John.
Bra John, I think Mark, I don't know, he's a soccer analyst, commentator, but it's so embarrassing to hear from someone with that kind of experience. To be honest, this is the best ever manager that Bafana Bafana has had. By manager, I mean the coach. They have come and gone. He's the second best after Clive Barker. But when coming to tactics, the knowledge of the game, he's the best. Clive Barker achieved something. He achieved something. But he's the best amongst, they have come and gone. And I don't think we'll ever get a coach like this unless we do something. Safa start doing something. But this guy is the best.
Yeah, thanks for those. I mean, it's Mark's view, and he's covered football for a long time to say he's done nothing for Bafana Bafana. But, he's never coached the team, obviously, to state the blindingly obvious. But as somebody who has covered South African football, promoted the game, traveled the African continent long before we were even playing in the game, I'd say he's done a lot for South African football and to get people interested. But clearly you disagree. Now, let me just say, I'm a big Hugo Bruce fan. I think he's done brilliantly. But every time somebody calls in Karabo Chale, if you can briefly tell us why when they say, we think he's great, you shake your head.
I think he's not that special. I think we have just special players. We've got a breed of new players that are just out of this world, and they do so much for their teams, irrespective of who's coaching them at Pirates, Sundowns, and so and so. But he was just lucky to have really good players to pick from. I mean, there's still so many other players that he can still pick from, like Timinkosi Lodge, where he's playing so well for his team. So he's just privileged to have good players. I don't think he's the greatest coach, honestly.
Couldn't disagree with you more. But that's the beauty of football. That's the beauty of radio. Keep the debate going. I mean, I just think there have been managers all over the world who've had great players and have just got absolutely nowhere with them. A conversation for another day because the traffic is building up. We better tell people how it's moving. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Bridgestone Tyres. Prepare to perform whatever the terrain.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Edenville area, there's a slow-moving traffic. That's about a 20-minute delay on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange, while in Bedfordview, traffic heavily backed up. N3 southbound from Linksfield Road to Van Buren. Also in Calvin, Alexandra area, there's traffic congestion. This is on the N3 in both directions between the Butlu interchange and Marlborough Drive. In Devland, traffic pressure, Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. In Protea Lane, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R559. And in Irene, traffic pressure approaching the intersection of Nelmapius Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
At Anglo American, we mine more than minerals. We mine possibility and progress with purpose. For over a century, we have been part of South Africa's story, investing in our country's potential and unlocking opportunities together. This year alone, through our Kumba iron ore business, we've invested 25.9 billion Rand into South Africa. This includes infrastructure development, education and healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Follow us on our social media channels, Anglo American South Africa, and join the conversation. Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity. A steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time. Medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
18 minutes past 4. One of the things that's come out of the period we're in, the allegations made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, but prior to that as well, many questions asked about the relationship between organized criminal syndicates and the police on the one hand, but also between those syndicates and the individuals who head them or are alleged to head them. Certainly there are matters in court suggesting just that, and legitimate businesses on the other. Now, a very interesting story in the Sowetan today. In fact, yesterday's Sowetan. I'll look at the date. Jeanette Shabalala is the journalist if you want to go along and have a look. The Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority, SERA, has placed 8 staff members on precautionary suspension. And according to Jeanette, quote, following findings of serious irregularities in the registration processes of tender tycoon Vusimuzi Matlala's company, Cat Protection and Security. Not for the first time am I hearing that the security company may have a problem in this regard that may extend beyond this particular individual case. So what's going on there? Chad Thomas is a guest we've had on the show before. He's CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations, and he's with us now. Mr. Thomas, welcome. And thanks very much for giving us your time. I don't know if this is something you've spoken about before, but is this an issue where there's a feeling that people who are involved in illegitimate business are looking to, in some way, get into the mainstream by setting up security companies?
Hi, John, and good afternoon to the listeners. This is something we've been speaking about for a very long time. The Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority, CIRA, has a group of inspectors that have full peace officer status that are overcome with the number of sheer investigations relating to bad actors within the security industry. We spoke a few years ago about taxi bosses buying up security companies so they could access legitimate weapons, have trained individuals that they could use to fight proxy turf wars, and that those individuals would then be rented out because they would have other uses. You could drive a vehicle that was marked with weapons, not necessarily stopped at roadblocks, and they could perform other crimes. They could be rented out for CRT heists. They could be rented out for ATM bombings, even kidnapped for ransom. So we've been very, very concerned about the fact that bad actors have used proxies to infiltrate the security industry so that they can access legitimate weapons, access trained individuals, and drive around in vehicles with flashing white lights and being used to settle disputes.
What do you reckon is the scale of this? I mean, investigations and matters under review don't always give you a sense of how big the problem is. It may just give you a sense of which parts of the problem they're actually dealing with right now.
There was a shootout at a nightclub in Sandton not so long ago. One of the people that were killed, it was a shootout between two rival security companies, and one of the people killed was actually the head of the so-called security company through proxies, and he himself was a person of interest in the assassination of Marumo Pena, the well-known whistleblower on the Department of Home Affairs matter. So you drive through Sandton, you'll see these, we call them white light brigades, driving around, escorting these wealthy individuals, some of them with links to the underworld. And we've also heard on many occasions where these rivals in business, where they have a dispute over a business contract, instead of litigating through the courts, they bring their security companies and they literally fight it out. It's like something out of a South American movie.
Yeah, it raises questions about CIRA, its systems. Are there valid questions about the way the regulatory body, Chad Thomas, has gone about things, or might it be fairer to say it's a problem that would have overwhelmed them even if they were well prepared?
They are overwhelmed. CIRA came into effect as an Act of Parliament in 2001. Prior to that, we had the Security Officers Board, which was established in 1987. We never knew that the security industry in South Africa would become such a giant. It replaced mining as the single biggest employer in the private sector. You've got hundreds of thousands of operational security officers and around about 2 million people who are actually registered to perform the functions of security officers. CIRA is in need of more capacity and more resource. They have the financial capabilities because every security officer and every security company contributes on a monthly basis as well as a yearly registration fee towards CIRA. CIRA does fall under the Department of Police, something that a lot of people are unaware of. And of course, the security industry is extremely important while we're fighting crime because they act as force multipliers. But you have organizations like the South African Security Association that are constantly bringing to the attention of CIRA the bad actors. And CIRA is investigating as best they can. They just need more peace officers.
I'm wondering if some of our listeners might be listening and thinking, oh my goodness, is my security company perhaps performing a dual role like the one you've just described? But just for clarity, I mean, where security companies are set up for the purposes you described to pursue other kinds of goals linked to business that is either marginal or frankly illegal. Do those companies, though, offer to protect shopping malls, small businesses and homes, or do they tend not to confuse their own purpose and mission by doing that?
You'll find that they categorize themselves as close protection specialists. In other words, bodyguards for business figures. you'll find them categorizing themselves as nightclub or entertainment industry security, so they could control the flow of drugs that go into clubs, etc. But you're not going to find your mainstream companies getting involved in anything dodgy. These companies have reputations that go back decades.
Right.
So when you're looking at a security company, and when a big client like a shopping center group or an administrator for estates are looking for security service providers, they're going to go to the more well-known companies. They're going to go to companies that have the necessary insurance in place, and they have a due diligence and a checkbox exercise. Whereas these fly-by-nights or these companies that have been set up by the proxies, they just barely meet the minimum requirements. They have a nominee or a proxy as a front, but they're not really interested in getting business from estates or business from shopping centers
Right.
or in the retail sector. They are marketing themselves as heavies that can solve disputes, heavies that can protect people, or heavies that can look after the door at nightclubs.
Chad Thomas, thank you, CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. Worrying stuff. Check out Jeanette's piece on the Sowetan, that update on 8 people suspended at the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority. It's 26 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142. Do it now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chale, an update. What's going on?
Well, at this stage, if you're heading into Bedford View, we still have about a 20-minute delay. That's in Edenville on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulies interchange. Also driving through Linksfield, heading into Bedford View, slow-moving traffic. That's the N3 southbound between Linksfield Road and Van Buren. Kelvin Alexandra area, traffic congested N3 in both directions. This is between the Batlu interchange and Marlborough Drive, while in Devlin, traffic pressure on the Golden Highway heading into Eldorado Park due to roadworks between the N1 and Union Avenue. Protea Glen, also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R559 and in Irene. Traffic pressure approaching the intersection of Nelmapius Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car full of groceries and a lady who will be attempting to make her mother-in-law's famous recipe with a family dinner tonight. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's butterflies and a potential bonding moment. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. EWN Business.
28 minutes past 4. Stephen Curtis with an update from the markets, where it seems the JSE also having a bit of a Friday winder down.
Yeah,
been a tough week.
Yeah, they've taken a gummy basically and have sort of calmed themselves down. Good afternoon, John. Yeah, I mean, do you remember those days when the gold price, when I would start with $3,000? Let's have a retro Friday, shall we? Because gold is now $3,978, and that has had quite a big impact. So resources are down, but everyone's taking a bit of a breather, and profit taking is the technical phrase. The all share is down 0.2% at 110,021 points. Financials up 1.16, industrials up 0.09, and then resources down 2.25% on the day. And you see it with the gold shares and platinum shares. So Implats, Tongela, Goldfields, all of them pretty much down very substantially on the day. Implats down 4.44% on the day. Confirmation that the deal in which Adcock Ingram will be taken over by Natco Pharma is getting the nod from shareholders. A confirmation this morning, 99.66% of shareholders voted to support the offer. The Indian company will get Adcock for 75 Rand a share, or 4.2 billion Rand if you do the maths. Does mean, though, that Adcock Ingram is likely to delist from the JSE. John, on the positive side, an extraordinary extraordinary day for Pick n Pay. They're up 8.79% in Boxer, now up nearly 4%, but it's across the sort of consumer band of shares. So Tiger Brands are up 4.39%, Premier, the food group, up 4%, Mr. Price up 3.11%, AVI up 2.76%, and Spar up 2.33%. So that whole group is doing pretty well. I suspect there might be something there around interest and inflation expectations, but we'll get more expert analysis on that in a little while. In the United States, so markets did open positive. People, I think, are buying the dip a little bit after that pullback yesterday. Also waiting for more data about fresh clues on the economy, but data's hard to come by in the United States. Why? Because their government is shut for business. The Dow Jones is up 0.37%. The Nasdaq is up 0.23%. The S&P 500 is up 0.2%. The gold price, $3,978.67 an ounce. Platinum, $1,627.80. Brent crude, slightly weaker too, I must say, at $63.71. Don't forget, of course, the impact of the Middle East peace deal. We're not really affecting any of the oil-producing countries in that area. Would still just, I think, be feeding into sentiment there. The rand to the dollar, 17.26 to the euro, 19.96 to the British pound, 22.92. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 4:30 it is. Stephen back with us in about 55 minutes' time. Right now, Mbali Dlamini standing by with the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The family, friends and colleagues of late SA Ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, are gathered at the King Shaka International Airport this afternoon. They are holding a short ceremony to welcome his remains back to his home province, KwaZulu-Natal. Mthethwa's remains arrived a short while ago to a somber reception ahead of his final send-off on Sunday. The 58-year-old died in Paris last week, and investigations continue into the cause of his death. Later today, Mthethwa's political home, the ANC, will be holding a memorial service in his honor. His send-off in Gwambonambi in northern KZN will be an official special funeral, Category 2. KZN ANC Provincial Task Team convener Jeff Radebe.
Well, as you know, that the president has declared this a state funeral Category 2. It's a reflection of the role that he has played towards the independence and liberation of the black people in South Africa. And he was part of those that were involved in the construction of a new democratic society.
City Power has welcomed the Gauteng High Court's decision to set aside the search warrant used by the Hawks during a raid at its headquarters. The court has ruled in favour of the utility's urgent application, which sought to have the Hawks' recent search and seizure operation declared unlawful. The crime-fighting unit raided City Power offices last month as part of an ongoing investigation into questionable contracts, but the court found that the warrant authorising the raid was defective and failed to clearly outline the scope of the operation. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangina.
The ruling affirms our strong-held view that the so-called investigation against City Power has been marred by irregularities, procedural flaws, and a flagrant disregard for the due processes. In today's proceedings, we really argued and exposed the fundamental defects in the Hawks application.
And the IFP has commended the work of law enforcement who caught the third suspect in the murder case of party deputy chief whip Ketamabala Sithole. Yesterday, suspect Zamani Ximba was shot and killed after police found him at his hiding place in Duduza in Ekurhuleni. In May this year, it's alleged that Ximba and two others shot at Sithole and two other people at a hostel in Katlehong. Jabulile Mbata has more.
Police say when they attempted to arrest Zamani Ximba yesterday, he pointed a firearm at them and they opened fire. At the time of the shooting, two other suspects who were allegedly working with Ximba had been arrested a few days earlier and charged with murder and attempted murder. While the IFP welcomes the developments of the murder investigation, the party says it still needs clarity on the motive. The two remaining suspects are set to return to the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court on November 20th. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 11 and 12 degrees and highs of between 28 and 29.
Edenville, 20-minute delay. This is on the R24 westbound heading towards Bedford View. This is between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange. Also in Bedford View, traveling towards Germiston. Traffic heavily backed up on the N3 southbound from Linksfield Road to Van Buren. And finally, if you're traveling through the Devland area heading towards Eldorado Park, traffic pressure. This is due to roadworks on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue.
The top story in EWN, the family, friends and colleagues of late SA Ambassador to France Natim Tetwa are gathered at the King Shaka International Airport this afternoon.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Have you been informed about which case this is to do with, what the specific matter is?
We haven't been advised what the specific charges are. In fact, I've heard more about it on the radio than from the police themselves, which will be something that I'll be raising in time as to what the intention of this arrest is. But we haven't been advised what the specific, but I cannot confirm that until I'm at the house.
Ian Levitt, Shadrach Sabia's lawyer.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Well, I don't know about you, but Bruce Springsteen has been a really big part of my life in all sorts of different ways. It's pretty much 50 years since he released the album, which represented the first time I heard the kind of extraordinary magic he could weave. It was vinyl in those days. Born to Run came out in August of 1975. I also have to say that Born to Run, the audiobook, Bruce Springsteen narrating his own autobiography, was the first ever audiobook I ever listened to, 18 and a quarter hours. And a Springsteen song, by the way, was a big and important and significant part of my wedding. So he's special to me, and I'm delighted to tell you that his story is coming to the big screen. It's called Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, and it's going to be in cinemas from the 24th of October. So I'm going to go and see it, and I'd love you to be part of our celebration of this musical icon. We've got exclusive pre-screening tickets. We've got 2,000 Rand daily in cash, and we're going to give you a chance to win a collector's package of his music. And what makes it really special is it's all in vinyl. Now, every day next week, we're going to be playing Two Truths and a Lie, and you could be the one I call. Just WhatsApp 072 702 1702 and type in this keyword, Springsteen ZA, all one word, Springsteen ZA, and that way you get in on the fun. It's one thing to know the songs, it's another to see the life that created them. And I'm going to be seeing the movie soon, and I'm very excited indeed. I'd love to know that you're going to be coming along as well. So join the fun, test your knowledge, and celebrate a man whose music defined generations. More than one of them, by the way. T's and C's apply, only on 702.
This is the story of our Nando's Flame Grilled Chicken, marinated for 24 hours in our unique peri-peri recipe. Kissed by fire, full of flavor, perfectly grilled. And like any story, this story of our full peri-peri chicken has two sides. Yours to choose, yours to share. Enjoy the Nando's full and two sharing meal. That's our full chicken and two sharing sides of your choice for only 277 Rand.
Before a masterpiece takes shape, there's a single line that starts it all, until every curve and every angle reflects the clarity of a single vision. And only then does inspiration take its final form. The all-new Audi A5, designed to inspire. Starting from 14,499 per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more. T's and C's apply.
In Africa, we say the chameleon looks in all directions before moving. At Plus 94 Research, we understand the importance of careful consideration. By analyzing comprehensive data and diverse perspectives, we help you make informed decisions that stand the test of time. Don't leap without looking. Move forward with insight and precision. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Brother John, I think Mark, I don't know, he's a soccer analyst, commentator, but it's so embarrassing to hear from someone with that kind of experience. To be honest, this is the best ever a manager that Bafana has had. By manager, I mean the coach. They have come and gone. He's the second best after Clive Barker. But when coming to tactics, the knowledge of the game, he's the best. Clive Barker achieved something. He achieved something. But he's the best amongst, they have come and gone. And I don't think we'll ever get a coach like this unless we do something. Safa start doing something. But this guy is the best.
Yeah, a lot of debate around Hugo Bruce and the role that he has played in taking Bafana where they've got. We even can't agree within this little studio. A disagreement. There's only 3 people here.
1 point, John.
Yes,
right?
please.
A player was not supposed to play, but the coach, under his watch, let him play. How did he miss that? If he's a coach, he has his eyes on the game all the time. Why did he take note?
Yeah, fair point. But it doesn't invalidate everything you do. One is not judged by your biggest mistake or your biggest success. That's my view. Anthony, a big frown.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you can just blame the coach for that, to be honest with you.
Why not?
There's a whole team behind him who should have been on top of that. A coach's responsibility is to put the players on the field and to get them set up in a specific way to sort of negate what their opponents are going to do and to create their own. You can't expect him to also keep track of everything. While there was World Cup qualifying, there was AFCON qualifying, they played AFCON. There are people behind the scenes who should have been on top of this besides Coach Hugo Bruce.
Yeah.
The players should have also been aware of the matter. You can't just lay it at the feet of the coach and expect it's done.
The buck stops with him.
Okay. I've got this little can of petrol. I'm thinking of throwing it on the fire, but I'm looking at the clock. I've expressed my view before. My own view was that I agree with Mark. That one was on the coach. Anthony, before you jump in, let's play the jingle.
EWN Sport.
He's still frowning. Maybe we should play it again. Anthony, what have you got on sport?
Well, we'll start with Kaizer Chiefs. They've handed the coaching duties to Khalil Ben Yusuf and Cedric Kaze for the remainder of the 2025-26 season. Confirmation was made following the announcement that Nasruddin Nabi had departed the club. The pair oversaw the start of the season where Makosi began with 4 wins from their opening 5 Betway Premiership games. Meanwhile, Bafana will be playing Zimbabwe in FIFA World Cup qualifying tonight. Bafana's last successful qualifying campaign was back in 2001, and they haven't played at a World Cup since hosting the showpiece in 2010. Coach Hugo Bruce says today's game is arguably Bafana's most important and consequential match in recent history, with them second in the group behind Benin on goal difference.
We are all aware that we are playing tomorrow a very important but also a very difficult game. I think this game of tomorrow is maybe one of the most important games of the last 24-25 years. By victory we have a big chance to qualify. By defeat I think we can stop dreaming. So that means that it's very important, but it will also be difficult.
Kickoff is 6 p.m. Switching now to the United Rugby Championship, where the Lions have been bolstered by the return of Springboks scrum half Morne van den Berg for the clash in Italy against Benetton, while JC Pretorius and Asenati Nhlabakane are back in the starting lineup. And even though McLaren have locked up another F1 Constructors Championship, not everything is perfect. There's a lot of talk this season that the team might be giving Lando Norris a bit of an extra edge over Oscar Piastri. Well, that rumour just got a huge boost thanks to IndyCar champion Alex Palou. McLaren is suing Palou for $21 million after he backed out of a contract with him. During his testimony in a London court, Palou dropped a bombshell. He said that CEO Zach Brown never wanted Piastri in the first place, and that was the old team boss Andre Seidel who brought the Aussie in. Palou even said that McLaren told him he still had a shot at the F1 seat after they had already signed Piastri, and because of that he missed out on a potential move to AlphaTauri that he was discussing with Red Bull. Ironically, Piastri is leading the World Drivers' Championship 22 points ahead of his teammate with 6 races left to go. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Bridgestone Tyres, prepared to perform whatever the terrain. If you're on the N12, tricky times.
Yeah, heading towards the Glen, I see there's an accident scene there. This is on the N12 westbound, heading towards the Klip Rafir Drive off-ramp. And this is the accident scene N12 westbound, causing heavy delays all the way to the Uncle Charlie's M1 interchange. So avoid that route. Already about a 30-minute delay. Rather use Columbine Road. That's joining that route through Chris Hani Road off the M1 southbound. In Edenville, also expect about a 20-minute delay. This is R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange. Bedford View, traffic sluggish heading towards Germiston. N3 south from Linksfield Road to Van Buren. Also in Calvin, Alexandra area, traffic heavily congested. N3 in both directions between the Butlu interchange and Marlborough Drive due to ongoing roadworks. Parktown, traveling through the Joburg CBD, traffic pressure. M1 southbound from Killarney Bains to the double-decker section. Devland, also roadworks causing heavy delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. And finally in Irene, we still have traffic pressure approaching the intersection of Nelmapiers Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
One of the newspapers I really enjoy reading is The Guardian in the UK, although they have correspondence, and I think I don't know if they do different editions for different parts of the world or different sections. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But this story really caught my eye. There is a gentleman whose name is Neil Scallon. His name is not that important, just to acknowledge who he is, but he has 4,379 versions of Monopoly.
What?
Yeah, Monopoly. He has, I mean, I didn't even know there were so many different versions, but apparently there are. And he says he doesn't have all of them. He's the Guinness World Record holder. I don't know who came second, which might suggest that nobody else is pushing for this particular record. But anyway, 4,379, most of them he has never opened because he says their resale value would be compromised. So they're in their ceiling, and he reckons he spent about £400,000 on his collection over the years. He's got a silver edition from London. I'll stop there. But that's not the point of the story. It made me think of board games, and I just wondered, do you have favorite board games, and who do you play them with? Any board? I mean, I haven't played a board game for years, and I literally mean for years. I mean, I don't know why. I haven't. Used to be a big part of my growing up. The most important part of the many questions I'm asking is, what do you like at board games? Do you become ultra competitive? And have they turned out to be fun evenings with friends? Or has this led to maybe a couple of friendships being a little bit reconsidered, or at least readjusted to maybe, for example, say, well, I'm never, ever, ever playing that with fill in the blank again. So board games, Karabo Chale, do you a big board game player? And what do you like?
I'm a big fan of Monopoly,
Okay.
and I understand why there's so many versions of them, because I think the themes are always situated about, if it's South Africa, then they'll put the street names of that particular country. But I love Monopoly. I haven't played it in years, and thinking about it now, I think I should just buy one because my boy is old enough to understand what's what, exchanging money and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, Monopoly is one of my favorite, and I like it because it just brings out all the personalities and characters. If you're a cheater, you're going to be hiding the money. I love being a banker because,
Because you're trustworthy.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
trustworthy. And if there's my favorite person there losing, I'll just sneak a couple of
Yes.
rands and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all fun and games.
Okay, I'm not going to have an email relationship with Anthony Teixeira, and I'm probably not going to. No, I'll play Monopoly with you. We'll set it up one day. Anthony, board games, what do you like? I mean, firstly, do you like them? And Secondly, how do you behave?
I'm incredibly competitive. We're as a family not allowed to play Monopoly anymore because of me. I literally flipped over the Monopoly board because my one cousin wanted to cash out and she wanted to give everything to her brother. And I was like, no, that's not how it works. You need to sell it back to the bank. And it started a huge fight. The one game that I absolutely adore it's called Flip 7. So basically, there's cards from 0 to 12.
Okay.
And 12 has 12 cards, 11 has 11 cards. And the whole idea is you need to flip 7 cards in a row, right? And your whole idea is that you accumulate over 200 points to win the game. And then if you get a double, then the points that you have accumulated are cancelled out. And it is the most fun ever. Even just watching people do math as they try to get to the 200. So much fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us, by the way, I'm just called up a list of Monopoly versions. I mean, I had absolutely no idea. There's, for example, a James Bond edition.
Oh.
There is a 2010 FIFA World Cup South Africa edition. And on it goes. There's an ABBA edition. I
don't get how it works, the FIFA one, because it's usually street names, right?
Maybe it's the nations.
Or maybe it's the stadiums or whatever.
Oh,
Anyone who's got an unusual Monopoly edition, drop me a note. 072 7021 702. I'll do a little bit more research and I'll share with you what I find. It's coming up for 10 minutes now to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
And when I say 10 to 5, I'm sure many of you think, time for some music, time to spend some time with Randall Abrams and Randall's One Song. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. Today you are going to talk to us and share with us some music by Dolly Parton. Good afternoon. Questions?
How are you, John?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. And you?
Good.
Yeah, so, she's been in the news, questions being asked about her health, which she's responded to, but is that what prompted Dolly Parton, or was it something you were always thinking of doing?
No, that is really what prompted it. She's got kidney stones, and it's going to take her a little while to recover, so she's postponed her engagement in Las Vegas. But I thought there were so many dimensions and stories to tell about the song "I Will Always Love You," because it's a love song, but not in the conventional sense. In that she wrote it when she left the Porter Wagner show.
Right.
She took over from a singer by the name of Norma Jean. She was on the show for 8 years. And what she then did was, when she left the show, Porter wasn't terribly happy, but she wrote the song as actually a tribute to him. Now, I'm sure it's been played thousands of times at weddings, but as I say, it's a love song, but not a romantic love song. And then the other story, of course, is that it then ends up in The Bodyguard, the biggest soundtrack of all time. So it made a heck of a lot of money for Dolly. But that may not have been the case in that Elvis wanted to record it in 1974.
Goodness.
But the Colonel, his manager, wanted 50% of the publishing, and Dolly demurred. So very clever thinking. And she said to him, in fact, "Colonel, this money is for my family, the people who come after me." And that certainly is the case. She could never have seen The Bodyguard on the horizon in 1974, but by turning down, splitting the publishing, she went on to make a whole lot of money when Whitney Houston recorded the song.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So I didn't even know this was a Dolly Parton song. So let's play it, let's enjoy it, and we're back to chat with Randall in a moment. Dolly Parton, "I Will Always Love You."
If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go. But I know I'll think of you each step of the way. Bittersweet memories have all that you ever dreamed of. And I wish you joy and happiness. But above all of this, I wish you love.
Yeah, as I said, Randall, I'm hearing this for the first time and really enjoying it. I'm just wondering, as people look back on Dolly Parton's career, as one invariably does as somebody moves into very much the latest stages of it, I mean, what's your sense of her legacy as an artist? I ask that because I've been listening to a podcast called Dolly Parton's America, in which the incredible reach of her music into, in many ways surprising American audiences is a central thread. But how do you see her in terms of what she's done and written?
So I think there's so many things to be said about Dolly. So let's talk a little bit about her relationship with Porter Wagner. She did a set of duet albums, and then obviously left the television show and went on to, make her own albums, kicking off with Coat of Many Colors. And speaking about, singing about her Appalachian background. Then, of course, the success of I Will Always Love You. She was a movie star, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So just, like an incredible legacy. And then, of course, Dolly World, right? Our own theme and amusement park. But she's been able to maintain that level of success and that level of influence, but still being incredibly down to earth and incredibly funny. I'm sure that you've heard the quote.
Yes.
It takes a lot of money to look this cheap. which she says, and she also said, I know they call me a dumb blonde, but let me tell you, I'm not dumb, and I'm also not blonde. She's got a wonderful, brilliant sense of humor. And I think, as I say, what really amazes me about her is just how influential she is without people even recognizing or realizing how important and significant she is. And especially as a woman in the country music world. I think that's the other thing we mustn't forget, is that it was an extremely male-dominated world. And the dumb blonde comment, as I say, comes from because that's what people thought of her as. That's certainly how they treated her. And she was able to overcome that Nashville male establishment.
Yeah, and thought she was dumb until she sent them the invoice for whatever it is she'd written and they'd used.
Exactly.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you so much, Randall Abrams, an appreciation of Dolly Parton and playing one of her songs that I must admit I didn't even know was one of her songs. Randall Abrams will join us next week with Randall's One Song. It's coming up now for 3 minutes to 5.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Shadrach Sabia says he will defend his reputation no matter what comes his way, following a raid on his Centurion home as part of an ongoing criminal investigation.
Been called a criminal daylight in front of all South Africans. I've been called stupid. I'm waiting to have my day at Madlanga Commission. I expect to be pushed out. Is what is this whole thing all about?
Sabia's attorney, Ian Levitt, who was also present during the raid, says they will demand to see the affidavit that led to the search and seizure warrant being affected.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
We're gonna make insurance great again. We're gonna build a wall around high premiums. A big wall, the best wall. And guess what? You're not paying for it. We're gonna grab poor service by the policy. It's gonna be tremendous. Believe me.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision, people are saying, ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just lacquer insurance.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
join us for the Clash of the Titans at the Inanda Polo Club on the 19th of October, where Africa unites through polo. Proudly brought to you by Titan Law in association with Polo South Africa. Don't miss out. Book your spot on Howler.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, we're coming up for the news at 5, and Bali Dlamini with an update on all the day's big stories. And then after 5 o'clock, we're going to look back on what has happened in Parliament, although it is still happening. The ad hoc committee looking into all the issues raised by the allegations made in July by KZN Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. In the seat, answering questions and offering responses is National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. We'll get an insight into what was asked and what the answers revealed when we chat to our colleague Babalo Ndenze. Stephen Curtis will update us on the markets and look ahead to the Money Show tonight. And then something we've really been looking forward to for a good few days now. Our guest on a song, a book and a dish, sprint legend Akani Simbine. He's with us at about 20 to 6. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The mortal remains of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa make their way back home, and City Power says Hawks investigators abused their power. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The body of South Africa's late ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, is currently en route to a mortuary in Empangweni in the north of KZN ahead of his final send-off on Sunday. The 58-year-old's body arrived on home ground this afternoon and was received in a short ceremony at the King Shaka International Airport by family, friends and colleagues. Mthethwa died in Paris last week and the cause of his death remains under investigation. This evening, Mthethwa's political home, the ANC, will honour him in another ceremony of remembrance. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Nathi Mthethwa's body has received an ANC welcome, with party members welcoming him in guard of honour, carrying ANC flags with his face on it, singing and chanting struggle songs. The party's second Deputy Secretary General, Marupini Ramokgopa, placed the party's flag on Mthethwa's coffin. Meanwhile, the ANC's Jeff Hadebe, who says he worked with Mthethwa since the late 1990s, has described Mthethwa as one of those who gave his life to the fight for liberation. He says Mthethwa had helped in bringing the mortal remains of late ANC stalwarts back to South Africa, saying this moment is ironic.
Now, it's our solemn occasion to bring the mortal remains of Comrade Nathi Mthethwa to the land of his ancestors, Odingiswayo.
As the procession left the airport, police officers gave a salute to their former minister. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, King Shaka International Airport in Durban.
We shift our focus to Parliament now, where National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has agreed with some of the allegations made by KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi has made several claims of credible links between an alleged crime syndicate member and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Masemola also agrees with submissions that the head of crime intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, was targeted as part of a scheme to thwart investigations. He has been answering questions from MPs at Parliament ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of police corruption. Babalo Ndenze has more.
Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi told the ad hoc committee this week that Dumisani Khumalo's arrest was part of what he called a project, which included the disbanding of the political killings task team. He said his arrest was also aimed at stopping criminal investigations in Gauteng. Committee member Sibonelo Nomvalo asked Masemola whether he believed Mkhwanazi's claims that there were links with murder accused Vusimuzi Ket Matlala and businessman Brown Mohotsi.
I believe General Mkhwanazi might have showed you some WhatsApp messages, and General Khumalo will still show you other messages which they can give evidence to that effect in terms of communication that talks to between Mr. Mohotsi, between Ket Matlala, and between the minister. They will be able to show you that.
Masemola told the committee that he tried his best to get an explanation from Mchunu on his decision to disband the task team, but to no avail. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
City Power says a recent raid by the Hawks of its headquarters was a blatant abuse of power and an act of recklessness. The crime-fighting unit conducted a search and seizure operation at the utilities offices last month as part of its ongoing investigation into suspected dodgy contracts. But the Gauteng High Court ruled the raid was unlawful today, finding the search warrant obtained by the Hawks was defective. Alfara Mushwana has more.
The Hawks launched a large-scale investigation in November last year, focusing on several contracts at City Power that are believed to be irregular. Those contracts are reportedly valued at more than R500 million. The Hawks' most recent raid at City Power was linked to a R64 million contract for the supply of electricity to transformers that were never delivered. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena says the utility will continue to cooperate with the investigation, but will not allow itself to be mistreated by the Hawks.
We are pleased that the court upheld our application and agreed with our view that the affidavit on which the Hawks relied was not only defective but also careless.
The judge rules that the affidavit supporting the search warrant fails to present any prima facie evidence of wrongdoing. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
To this now, management at Fort Hare University has condemned acts of violence at the Alice campus in Digeni this week. University spokesperson JP Ruet says the torching of two buildings housing exam papers at the institution is tantamount to a coordinated terrorism effort. Students have been demonstrating over what they have termed Vice-Chancellor Sakela Buhlungu's failure to address mismanagement at the institution. Students are also aggrieved by the suspension of the SRC president and the institution's plan to appoint interim student leadership. University spokesperson JP Ruet.
This is a coordinated effort of terrorism. We've seen that the properties were targeted very strategically. And these were properties that were and facilities that were just recently refurbished. So something has gone from an unrest to something that actually became an act of terrorism.
And U.S. senators began a long weekend today that guarantees that the government shutdown will last at least 14 days. Republicans and Democrats have been getting into angry confrontations in the corridors of Congress, with frustration mounting as the crisis over funding the government hits public services. Pressure is mounting on Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to bring the lower chamber of Congress back in session to hold an emergency vote on at least providing military pay. But the Republican leader is sticking to his guns, telling reporters that he was committed to keeping the House out of session for as long as it takes. Gold is trading at $3,998.53 an ounce. The rand is at 17.22 to the dollar, 22.86 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.87 a barrel.
In Glenview, heading towards Alberton, that's leaving Soweto, heading towards Alberton, accident scene N12 eastbound near Kliprafir Drive, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Xavier Road. There's also slow-moving traffic. That's in the Bedfordview area. That's on the N3 southbound between Linksfield Road and Van Buren. And in Edenvale, traveling towards Bedfordview, there's still about a 20-minute delay on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange.
And in your Sports Crunch World Cup qualifier at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, as Bafana collide with Zimbabwe, red and white ball duties for the Proteas this weekend, and Giro d'Italia gets a new starting point for 2026.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 11 degrees, peaking at 28. Pretoria 12 and 29, and Vereeniging 12 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The body of South Africa's late ambassador to France, Natim Tetwa, is currently en route to a mortuary in Empangeni, north of KZN, ahead of his final send-off on Sunday.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, we move into the last hour of the show, and we're glad you are with us to enjoy what we've got for you. We're going to be looking at that parliamentary committee, looking into corruption and other issues in the police service. Babalo Ndenze, who you heard a moment ago, updating us on proceedings that are actually still on the go. I'm just looking up Police Commissioner engaging with the DA's Ian Cameron. I mentioned earlier, I thought the MPs across party lines, a good number of them, have actually been very good today. Well-prepared questions, well-focused, and questions well put. So I think it's been a very, very productive day indeed. And then later in the show, in the second half, we're going to be spending time on our weekly feature, Song, a Book and a Dish, in the company of legendary sprinter Akani Simbine. Really, really looking forward to talking to him. I've been asking you about board games. We started off by talking about Monopoly because I came across a story about a man who has 4,327 versions of Monopoly. I didn't even know there were all those versions, and some of you are sending me some really interesting things. Arshad says, you can't cheat at banking on Monopoly now. The new version has a card system. Zeno says, as for board games, I love chess and Monopoly. The only bad thing about Monopoly, one can't really keep up with its versions. But this one really caught my eye. It's from JK, who says, on the Monopoly versions, the one that comes to mind is the Comrades Marathon Monopoly version. And I went online, and indeed, there's a Monopoly version that marked the 100 years of the Comrades in 2021. I wondered if, for example, if you play clockwise, it's the up run, and you play anti-clockwise, it's the down run. Apparently, the board version is based... No, you can play down run and up run. And you do visit jail. I thought it might change it, like go to the physio or something like that. But it looks great. Anyway, we asked the question as well, when you play board games, what do you like? Does it bring out the best in you and your friends, or does it sometimes bring out some things that maybe ought to have been left in the box before you took the game out? Irene says Cape Town is the first city in South Africa to have its own version of Monopoly, and Christiana says there's a Simpsons-themed Monopoly game, which I would genuinely love to have. Let's get some of your comments on this and other issues.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Tate John. Karabo Charlie, I think you and Mark listen. We will send you to Madlanga Commission. Something is missing there. We will send you to Madlanga Commission. This your comments about Hugo Bruce. No. Thank you, guys. Great show.
Afternoon, John. Linda here from Johannesburg. John, an upfront declaration. I'm a twin, and I'll tell you why. My absolute favorite board game is 30 Seconds. Now, around the table with a group of people, we could take anyone if it's just me and my twin brother. There's absolute science in twins and board games. We almost guaranteed all the time win if it's me and him. But wait until we verse each other, it becomes a mess. Thanks, John.
Hi, John. Victor here from Four Ways. Yeah, it was also the first time hearing that Dolly Parton version of I Will Always Love You. I love learning new things. But yeah, I think this one, Randall, please, you should have kept it to yourself. You've ruined my memory.
Man, I think the whole country is surprised that you don't know that song is sung by Dolly Parton. Every family had that CD or record play of Dolly Parton. So I'm surprised why you didn't know about it. Maybe you know other songs of Dolly Parton, but they are all actually, their album was so beautifully made. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And just on that song, a very poignant message from Nikki, who says, afternoon, John and the team. 3 weeks ago when my child's coffin went down, this is the song we chose for him at the grave. And Nikki, I know that the song stirs up some painful memories, and without knowing the full circumstances, just condolences to you and your family, and we all wish you long life. It's 14 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. Karabo Chale will tell us what's going on out on the roads in 12 East.
it's not looking good at all, John. You can expect about a 30-minute delay. That's if you're leaving Soweto heading towards the Alberton area, driving through Glenview. There's an accident scene on the N12 eastbound near Kliprefir Drive, and that's causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Xavier Road. Also in Edenville, expect about a 20-minute delay. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Bedford View, traffic heavily backed up heading towards Germiston. N3 South from Linksfield Road to Van Buren. Also in the Calvin Alexandra area traveling towards Germiston. Traffic is congested. N3 in both directions. This is between the Butlu interchange and Marlborough Drive due to ongoing roadworks. Parktown traffic pressure driving through the Joburg CBD M1 South from Killarney Bains to the double-decker section. In Devland, traveling towards Eldorado Park, traffic pressure, Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, also due to roadworks, while in Protea Glen, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R559. And finally, in Irene, Pretoria, traffic pressure approaching the intersection of Nelmapius Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, Jim, what's wrong? Hi, Bob. I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car, and I don't know where to stop. Well, have you tried to... Cars.coza. Have you tried to... Cars.coza. Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The hospital is preparing for an inspection. All the necessary equipment is in tip-top shape. And at every other hospital, they see the same because the facilities are sharing some of the same equipment to try and pull the wool over the inspector's eyes. Dr. Sipiwe Mdaweni, are we ready for NHI?
The state of readiness can never be uniform, but we have all that it takes for our facilities to participate in the NHI.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
In a world where safety matters, you deserve protection you can trust. CIRA regulates South Africa's private security industry, ensuring only trained and qualified providers serve the public. From bodyguards and assets in transit to electronic security, investigations, event safety, locksmiths, and guarding. Every service must meet the highest standards. CIRA, protecting you and those who protect you.
Okay, it's time. An employee review of my F&B Gold Business account. Okay. You give me 10 free transactions a month, and you even help me pay my banking fees using eBucks. Batung, unlocking more cash from my salon. Hey. No other card does this. You reward me so much, I want to reward you.
The F&B Gold Business account. No other card works harder for your business because your cash flow is worth it. F&B, help changes everything. TCs and earn rules apply. F&B, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
He's the boss, the legend, the man whose music defined generations. Now, his story hits cinemas in Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, from 24 October. And 702 is giving you the chance to win big next week. We're celebrating the icon with 2 truths and a lie. 3 facts about Bruce. One's not quite true. WhatsApp the keyword Springsteen ZA to 0702 702 1702. And we could call you to play every day next week. Spot the line and win 2,000 Rand cash, exclusive pre-screening tickets, and a shot at a collector's vinyl package every fan will envy. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com. Only on 702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
18 minutes past 5. Let's go down to Parliament. The ad hoc committee looking into the issues prompted by allegations made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is still busy. They've been putting in long days, and it's been a very, very long day today and yesterday indeed for National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. He's currently facing questions from the DA's Ian Cameron. Let's join then our EWN reporter, Babalo Ndenze, who's been keeping an eye on things and listening to what's been said. Babalo, very good afternoon to you. I was struck by how difficult it seemed to be for the commissioner to explain the relatively passive way, it would seem to me at least, he dealt with his deputy, General Shadrach Sabia, having instructed him not to send out letters saying the political killings task team would be disbanded. It appeared that General Sabia went ahead and continued pursuing this, and quite a few of the people questioning him were saying, Commissioner, surely you could have done more. Did he ever come up with an answer to that in your view? Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, John. No, he didn't come up with an answer that they all accepted. I mean, one member even asked the National Commissioner whether did he think that people, or it looks like people, senior members of the police management don't respect him. And he disagrees with that. He says, he's respected, but some members don't seem to see that. And he tried to explain that he tried to, change or try to ask or get a proper reason or explanation from Minister Senzo Mchunu on his decision to disband the task team or his directive on the 31st of December last year, and Shadrach Sibia, being the one that's sending this message around. And he couldn't really respond to that. But what he did say, and he keeps insisting on this, is that he did whatever he could, and he did succeed to a certain extent because the task team was never disbanded. It's still in existence. It's still operational now. It has challenges, but there was an attempt to disband it, but it was never disbanded. It's still there. And he says that what he did tell the president, during his efforts to try keep this team intact, is that, let's not do it abruptly, or let's not just disband it immediately and, on the spot. Let's, phase it out. Let's just do it slowly, piece by piece. Let's not do it all at once. So he sees this as a victory. He saw this as a victory, that this team was not disbanded immediately. It was, the decision was it would be phased out, and it looked like people agreed with that decision. But, he did get a lot of questions from other members on, Clemens Breitenbach, for example, asking him that, he's a police commissioner. He actually wields a lot of influence, and a cabinet minister or a minister of police or any member of the executive can't just tell him what to do. And if he disagrees with the minister, he could always just tell him, and, there's nothing really the minister can do. The president, after all, is the appointing authority when it comes to a national commissioner. But he does, report politically to his principal, the Minister of Police. But members of the committee really think that he did not do enough to stop this directive, this illegal directive from Minister Senzo Mchunu, which was, the message was sent by people like Shadrach Sibia, who's also, who's heavily implicated himself in this ad hoc committee, these hearings, from the evidence on Tuesday from Shaklam Kwanazi, as well as today. And Darylene James of Action SA also saying that the minister, quite tough questioning from Darylene James and Clemens Breitenbach, saying that the minister really the police commissioner, beg your pardon, really failed to stand his ground and tell him, where to get off. But just listen to what Clemens Breitenbach said to him. They had a bit of an exchange where she was pushing him and why he didn't do more. But just take a listen to what they two of them were saying, John.
General, my difficulty is that he can't insist. So, let's just cut to the chase. He can't insist. He can't tell you what to do. You're the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. There's no one above you, and he's not above you.
He's a Minister of Police. He's above me.
Not in the hierarchy of the South African Police Service, General, and you and I both know that. You call the shots in the South African Police Service, not the minister. And if he tries, you should tell him to go to hell. Why didn't you?
Okay, so it got pretty robust. I thought throughout the day, Babalo, that a number of MPs really were very well prepared, focused their questions. I mentioned Glenys Breitenbach. I thought Julius Malema was excellent. Xola Ngola from the ANC was good. The DA's Lisa Marie Schikkeling. Also, all of them going into a lot of detail and saying, but on this particular date, you could have responded in this particular way. What do you think is the significance of this line of questioning? Because they kept coming back to what the commissioner did or didn't do when the rubber hit the road on the disbanding of the political killings task team.
I think what the members are trying to do is ascertain whether the police commissioner did enough to stop this. He said on his first day of testimony that, he never agreed to this. And Lisa Schickling, the DA member of the committee, says that there's nothing in writing that the commissioner has submitted to the committee, the annexures, the different files, his sworn statements. She says there's nothing that she can see in black and white that, actually indicates or signals that he really was opposed to this illegal directive. He might say he was, but, they don't see the evidence of this in black and white. And so that was just some of the feelings from the members, that as much as the National Commissioner says that he was opposed to this, and as much as he says he agrees with a lot of what Mhlatla Mkhwanazi said on the 6th of July press conference, as well as his submissions earlier this week, he failed to show this, in his own submissions to the committee. And this is one of the things that the members are really not satisfied about. And, even Ian Cameron now, who's putting questions to the National Commissioner, is saying that the National Commissioner is leaving a lot of question marks in some of his submissions, where he says he's basically leaving a lot of things to the members to interpret. And they just want straight answers from the National Commissioner. And at this point, I don't think the members are entirely satisfied with some of his submissions that he was opposed to the disbanding of that political killings task team.
Thanks so much, Babalo Ndenze, EWN reporter, joining us on that. Ashley Sauls, I think, is up now from the Patriotic Alliance. I'll double check that. And Babalo back into the committee room, and I'm certain we'll be getting updates from him a little bit later in the news bulletins. 25 minutes past 5.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja. 1 to 3 p.m.
Family will always be honest with you, especially if you come from the black families where you guara each other.
Absolutely. I mean, my friends, my family, they are my biggest critics, especially my mates. They take chances and they always have a 2-cent input. So the nerves, I think the nerves are good. You know what I mean? The nerves still add that humbleness, you know what I mean? Because chefs are driven by ego, you know what I mean? And food is very subjective. If someone doesn't like potatoes, no matter how you make the most amazing mash in the world, if they don't like a mazambani, they're not interested.
Yeah.
So when I cook for my mates, and it's also with chefs being so temperamental, you're literally putting a piece of yourself on a plate. You know what I mean?
Chef Takeho
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Ready to lead the future of business? At Wits Business School, leaders don't just adapt, they define what comes next. Choose from a wide range of postgraduate programs designed to develop your leadership and strategic thinking skills. Whether you're looking to deepen your expertise or broaden your horizons, there's a qualification for you. At Wits Business School, ambition becomes leadership. Visit wbs.ac.za to find the program that's right for you. That's wbs.ac.za.
It's spring, SA, and here at DecoFern, we say it's time to say yes. Say yes to new friends. Yes to new adventures. Will you marry me?
Yes!
And definitely say yes to a few new things.
Welcome to DecoFern.
Say yes to awesome savings at the DecoFern Furniture Spring Sale, with up to 35% off on outdoor furniture and much more. In store now or at decofernsa.co.za.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
EWN Business.
28 past 5, Stephen Curtis, good day once again.
Afternoon to you, John. Well, just in the last few moments, the US President Donald Trump saying he's weighing a massive increase in tariffs on Chinese goods. That's pushed US markets down and might well be the sort of financial story going into the week and going into the next few days. Might well also take gold back past. Yeah, gold is slightly higher than it was when I last spoke to you. Just beneath $4,000 now. Might well go past that again in the next few moments. All of that, of course, too late for the JSE All share. It ended the day down 0.2% at 110,023 points, partly because of lower gold and platinum prices. Financials are up 0.96, industrials ending the day down 0.18, and resources down 1.66% on the day. Gold prices were lower for most of the session, so were platinum prices, and that's pushed shares like Implats, and Boxer's turnover grew by nearly 14%, like-for-like sales growth of 5.3%. Boxer, as a result, up 4.63% on the day. Other consumer shares up very strongly too. Tiger Brands up 4%, AVI 3.17%, Mr. Price up nearly 3%, and Pepkor and ShopRite both up by nearly 2.5% on the day. SAPI confirming it'll be spending less money on capital infrastructure, won't spend any money at all on expanding during the period. That comes after the board had already announced they'll suspend their dividend for this financial year. The group saying the current environment, including a weaker dollar, is making it tough. It does believe it's a well-capitalized business, though. So SAPI down slightly on the day as a result of all of that. And then just to confirm that Natco Pharma does appear to be very close to taking over Adcock Ingram. Almost 99.66% of the shareholders of Adcock voting to support their 75 Rand per share offer. Does mean that Adcock will be delisting from the JSE. All right, so in the US now, markets turning negative as a result of Trump's comment. The Dow Jones down 0.45%, the Nasdaq down 1%, the S&P 500 down 0.73%, after Trump essentially said that he's looking at much heavier tariffs against Chinese goods. Now, as I say, I am expecting that to have an impact on gold. Yes, John, while I've been talking to you, in fact, past $4,000 again, $4,004.60 as a result of that. Platinum, $1,627.20. Brent crude, $63.46. The rand to the dollar, 17.43. To the euro, 20.23, and to the British pound 23.27. On the Money Show tonight, we'll be talking about what's happening at the PIC and the fact that their chief investment officer, Kabelo Rukotso, was suspended. Carol Payton seems to have an inside track on what's going on there. We will talk to a fashion designer in Friday File, and then also just a comment or two about SARS. They've said they're having a press conference tomorrow about Lucky Montana.
Goodness.
If I were Lucky Montana, I'd watch Stephen Critters, EWN Business.
SARS press conference on a Saturday. Unusual indeed. It's 28 minutes to 6 and Bali Dlamini is standing by with all the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The SIU has stacked a number of governance deficiencies and mismanagement allegations against the former CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Collins Letswalo. It comes on the third day of a parliamentary inquiry into the Road Accident Fund. Letswalo's contract ended in August, and he has in the past dismissed the claims, saying in fact that his decisions led to saving the fund millions of rands. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Appearing before Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts today, the Special Investigating Unit presented a detailed account of numerous investigations it's carried out at the Road Accident Fund since 2021. SIU head Andy Mutibi says it is their view that the litany of governance failures at the fund gave rise to mismanagement and the inability of the fund to deliver on its mandate to compensate accident victims. This included the cancellation of a panel of attorneys to consider the claims without an alternative in place.
This has cost the Road Accident Fund immensely, and if it was done appropriately, it would possibly not have incurred those costs.
Former CEO Collins Letswalo has also been linked to irregularity in a 66 million rand lease for the fund's Johannesburg office.
The former CEO interfered in the procurement process in that he authorized the re-evaluation of the already evaluated bid.
The SIU says Letswalo is still to respond to the findings of this investigation. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Let's stay with road-related matters. Santaco in the Western Cape says it's taking concrete steps to restore peace and stability in the taxi industry. It will be launching the Taxi Peace Ambassador program at the Bellville Taxi Rank next week. 16 peace ambassadors will be appointed across the 8 taxi regions in the province. Santaco says they will act as community-based champions of non-violence. Lauren Isaacs has more.
Santaka Western Cape says the recent spate of violence in the taxi industry has claimed lives, disrupted communities and shaken public confidence in the safety of public transport. Less than a week is left of the forced closure of a number of taxi routes and lanes at Ranks between Mfuleni, Khayelitsha and Somerset West. The shutdown was put in place for a period of 30 days to curb recent taxi-related violence. At least 10 operators and commuters have been shot and killed or wounded in attacks linked to a dispute between Kata and Codeta. The impasse between the Cape's two biggest taxi associations is yet to be resolved. Codeta approached the courts hoping the Western Cape government would reverse its decision to shut down the routes and rank lanes. However, the Western Cape High Court yesterday dismissed Codeta's challenge. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
And trade leaders gathered in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape for G20 meetings say calls for reforms in the World Trade Organization are again front and center of talks. The G20 Trade and Investment Ministerial meeting kicked off today after 4 days of deliberations by the working group. This is the last time trade officials are meeting before the highly anticipated Leaders Summit next month. Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau delivered the opening remarks earlier today. Nogukanya Mdambo is there with the latest.
Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau says it's important to send a clear message on reforms that need to be undertaken to inform work in the World Trade Organization, given emerging challenges to global trade. The WTO is the largest multilateral trade organization and the foundation of the global trading system. But for years it's been labelled as outdated and unable to deal with the complexities of the changing global order. Norwegian Trade Secretary Ragnhild Sista spoke on the matter on the sidelines.
We believe it's important that the WTO can remain a global good, and that is the common interest and our common responsibility.
Experts previously said the tariff crisis sparked by US President Donald Trump is exactly the right time to talk trade reforms. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
In your weather, a partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 11 and 12 degrees and highs of between 28 and 29.
If you're heading towards Alberton, that's leaving the Soweto area, there's an accident scene in Gilview. This is an N12 eastbound near Kliprefir Drive, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Xavier. Also in Edenville, expect about a 20-minute delay traveling towards Bedfordview R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. And in Calvin Alex area, traffic remains congested on the N3 in both directions between the Batlu interchange and Marlborough Drive due to roadworks.
The top story in EWN, the SIU has stacked a number of governance deficiencies and mismanagement allegations against the former CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Collins Letswalo.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Hospital is preparing for an inspection. All the necessary equipment is in tip-top shape. And at every other hospital, they see the same because the facilities are sharing some of the same equipment to try and pull the wool over the inspector's eyes. Dr. Sipiwe Mdaweni, are we ready for NHI?
The state of readiness can never be uniform, but we have all that it takes for our facilities to participate in the NHI.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
For those 2 a.m. checkouts or the late night shifts, for the last-minute orders and the beginning of the month rush. For the 9 to 5 that becomes a 5 to 9. You don't clock out, and neither should your payments. Pay fast by network, always open for the dreamers, the doers, for you. From e-commerce to in-store payments and business funding, we have you covered. Sign up today at payfast.io.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, Shop A1, Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg. or go to sweetor.com today. Sweetor, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Get ready, Mzansi. Powerball has rolled over to a jaw-dropping 130 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday. Walala wasana. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 130 million rand jackpot today, and you could hit it lucky with the big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, Sunphone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# with USSD. Handa, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
EWN Sport.
21 minutes away from kickoff down at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. It's a huge match for Bafana Bafana. Got to get to the next World Cup. Can we do it? Anthony, you've got all the sports news. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. That is right. Bafana's crucial World Cup qualifier against Zimbabwe is at 6 p.m. Group C thrown wide open after South Africa's 3-point deduction for fielding an ineligible player earlier in the qualifying campaign, with now 5 of the 6 teams still mathematically in the running for a spot at the North American tournament. Nigeria are 3 points off top spots as they play Lesotho. Meanwhile, table toppers Benin meet Rwanda, who, like the Super Eagles, are 3 points adrift. Bafana are second in that group, level on points with Benin, but with an inferior goal difference, although Coach Hugo Bruce isn't primarily concerned with that.
First of all, when you play a game, you always try to win it, and to win it with as much as possible goals. But I don't think that tomorrow, if you play against Zimbabwe, that you have to think about 4 or 5 or 6 goals. Certainly not. So the most important thing is to win that game.
All those qualifiers kick off at 6 p.m, while selected European qualifiers will have Germany facing Luxembourg, France meet Azerbaijan. Round 3 of the United Rugby Championship will begin this evening with the Stormers in Wales against Scarlets. Tomorrow's a busy day with the SA teams as the Lions are at Benetton. Sharks end their European tour with the clash against holders Leinster, and the Bulls meet Ulster. While in cricket, double duty for the Proteas. Saturday they play Namibia in a one-off T20 to mark the opening of the Namibian cricket ground. Then Sunday they play their first test against Pakistan, while live action at the Women's World Cup has Bangladesh 92 for the loss of 7, needing a further 136 runs for victory against New Zealand. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Thanks, Anthony. Anthony back with Stephen a little bit later on 7:02 on The Money Show. It's 19 to 6. Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. If you're on the N12 East, it's slow going. If you're heading that way, you might need to make other plans. Karabo Charlie here to sort you out.
Yeah, there's an accident scene that's in the Gilview area. So if you're traveling between Alberton and Soweto, expect heavy delays on the N12 in both directions. That's due to an earlier accident near Kliprefeer Drive, and that's causing about a 30-minute delay. Edenville also expect about a 20-minute delay. R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange. Bedford View traveling into Germiston, there's slow-moving traffic. N3 southbound from Linksfield Road to Van Buren, while in Calvin roadworks are still causing heavy delays on the N3 in both directions between the Butlu interchange and Marlborough Drive. Kempton Park traffic pressure driving through the Joburg CBD. M1 south from Killarney Benz to the double-decker section. In Soweto, Pimville, expect about a 30-minute delay. This is Chris Hani Road between UJ Campus and Klipspruit Valley. And finally, in Proteas Lane, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R559. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 89. Your dog decided to play hide and seek with your car keys. Nice try. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The song
a book, and a dish.
On 702.
Has got a good start. Simbine going well. Blake's under massive pressure. Simbine becomes the Commonwealth champion. 10:03. Cometh the hour, cometh the man, and he has upset the form book and produced an absolutely sensational performance.
A sensational performance, one of many. My guest in the studio today, I think you already know, is South African sprint legend Akani Simbine. You will recall he was with us a couple of weeks back alongside the Dis-Chem Foundation, talking about the remarkable work that the Akani Simbine Foundation does. Akani working with his wife Teresa on providing sporting, educational and other opportunities for young South Africans. We said, please come back, because we really want to talk about you and a little bit about your life. And we thank you, Akani, for being with us once again. Welcome back to 702.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me back again. And yeah, keen to be here, keen to have this chat.
What is your earliest memory of running a race and winning it?
I think my earliest memory of running was running in my mom's passage at home.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing. My mom always says to me that I used to run in the passage, and she used to shout at me, say, "Can't stop running in my passage, you're gonna get hurt." And I went to school and I used to run there all over the place, and I always was the fastest kid. So running goes back to literally when I was a kid, but it was never my first love.
First love was football?
Yes.
Okay, and so you play football and you're good at it, from what I understand. So where does running come into it? And I presume at some point you had to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I think for me, running came into a point where I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the fastest kid around on the football field, and in my high school, my principal at Eden Glen said to me, you know what, if you want to play soccer for the school, you're going to have to run for the school.
Yes.
And for me, that was like, oh, bro, I really don't want to run, but because I want to play football, then let me just run. And that moved on to me actually beating everybody, being the fastest kid in school. When I was in grade 10, I was beating matrics, and that was a whole new thing.
So you're not just running, but you're sprinting, which is not only an athletic and physical endeavor, but it's also, I would think, getting your mind ready, because you train and you train and you train and you focus, but whatever you're doing, it's 10 seconds plus the time at the start. The mental discipline of that, was that difficult?
Yeah, I think getting around the mental part of it and understanding the mental part of it. I think everybody thinks of running as just stepping on the line and just sprinting.
Yes.
But there's so much mental work that goes behind us running under 10 seconds and getting to the line so fast, and everybody just thinks, oh, you're just going to run, I'm going to run fast and it's going to be fine. But everyone can do the training that we do.
Yes.
But the mental part of the race, that's like, I always say, that's 60% of the race.
So where are you getting your mental toughness from? You started us in the passage where your mom's trying to stop you running. Let's go back into the home. You've got an older sister. Your mom, Elsie, is a teacher. Your dad, John, is in pharmaceuticals. What do you think was happening at home that maybe shaped you into the person you've become and the excellence you've achieved?
I think my parents were very hard workers. My parents worked hard, and they showed me that, in order for you to achieve, you have to work hard. And my parents were not very well off, so I saw the struggles and I saw them working hard. I saw them not spending time with us because they had to work, because they had to make sure that we had food on the tables. I was able to go to school. I was able to have school uniform, and just clothes, and be able to be around my friends and not feel like I'm out. I think that was a big thing for my mom.
So your parents are working really hard, but meal times when the family's getting together, was that a big thing that you've all got to be at the table? We're going to spend time together. Describe that a little bit for us.
I think for us, mealtime was the time where everybody's at home. My mom's at home, my dad's at home, my sister's at home, and we all sit. We didn't sit at the table. We sat like in the lounge, watch TV. We would normally watch SABC1, Generations, and just eat, and then just share about the day, how the day went. Then after that, you need to go to sleep. It's time for you to go sleep because tomorrow's school.
In terms of food, I mean, who did the cooking? What did you guys eat, and what was special food when you were younger?
My mom always used to do the cooking. My dad has started doing the cooking at home.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Yeah, but he cooked well. My dad really cooks well. My mom loves my dad's food,
Okay.
And we used to cook. My mom likes cooking traditional food, and also like now when I travel a lot, I like actually going back home because I asked my mom, can you please cook some traditional food for me, because that's something that I miss. And it'll be like the pap and the morojo, and sometimes we eat masonja. Like today, I even asked my dad if he can go get me maguinya and mangola, just so that I can, just feel like, I'm eating home food.
As an athlete, you have to watch what you eat quite closely. Is that, presumably you've got used to this over many, many years now as a top track athlete, but are there times when you just go, oh man, this is hard?
I think 80% of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you have to eat so clean. You have to make sure that like the food you're eating is right. You're eating the right enough of calories. You're not eating takeouts all the time. And that for me is just like, oh, bro, like I really just want to eat what I want to eat. But you've got to just fuel yourself with good food that has good energy so that you're able to train and able to burn the right amount of energy when you train.
So you starting to do things and make waves at quite a young age. 2012, which is a while ago, you broke the national junior record competing in Lusaka. So people are saying, okay, you can do this. There's something ahead of you. But did you ever have doubts? Did you ever think, yeah, look, okay, maybe, but I don't think so?
Yeah, in the beginning, like, because this is 2012, because I didn't know anything about the sport.
Yes.
I was just a kid in 2012. I was a kid that just came into athletics.
Yeah.
And I got chosen for my first national team. That was the first time I actually went out of the country. I went into a plane. And I get to Lusaka and I win and I break the SA junior record. And everybody's like, no, those times are wrong, what. Then I go into the European circuit and I'm racing against guys that I now need to Google and start watching YouTube videos on. And I'm just like, what is happening here? I don't know this world. I don't know what's going on here. And I had to like slowly build up confidence, and it wasn't easy in the beginning. It's still not easy today, but it's just like a stepping stone. Every year it gets better and better and better, because this is not something that I planned. I didn't plan to be a professional athlete. It just worked out the way it did.
When you treat yourself, I want to go back to food because we're coming up to the weekend. When you do treat yourself and you say, okay, maybe we're going into a quieter period. I know that things, would be getting probably a little quieter now. Northern Hemisphere summer is, as I understand it, the really, really busy time. What's your biggest treat when you say, okay, I'm going to let this go?
Bro, I love braaiing.
Okay.
I love braaiing. Being at home, braaiing. I spice the meats. I like spicing the meats, making sure it's how I like it. And then I have a very sweet tooth.
Oh, do you?
A very, very sweet tooth.
So when you're in South Africa, what deals with that?
When I'm in South Africa?
Yeah.
Oh,
sweet things.
Speckled eggs.
Okay.
Speckled eggs, anything sour sweets, chocolate, anything.
So when you're traveling, you can find decent substitutes. I mean, it's not like it's a cook sister, for example.
Yeah. When I'm traveling, like, I think because I'm so tapped into what we're doing and because I know why I'm traveling, I don't really think of the sweets, and I don't really think of, getting like a sour sweet here and there or have the cravings. It's more of I'm so focused on the job at hand that I don't really want the sweets. And I know if I have the sweets, then I know coach is going to be like, okay, if you can have it, but make sure for the rest of the week you don't eat any other sweets. Just make sure you eat clean for the rest of the week.
And somehow the coach always knows what you're doing. I have no idea why. Tell me this. You chose Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist. Very briefly, for people who don't know the book, tell us what about the book has really found a special place in your life?
So for me, the Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist, is like, it literally tells the story of my life, and being able to dream and being able to achieve dreams and being able to learn from different people, and just get the wisdom that you can, because I feel like as we grow in life, you're always going to come around people that are going to give you some wisdom, give you some knowledge that's going to help you in life. And that's what happens in the book, and this kid has a dream and he goes on a path of trying to get to that dream, and he fails but keeps on pushing, and he ends up achieving his dream, and for me, that's been me. I got into the sport and I started dreaming about being a world champion, being an Olympic champion, being one of the fastest men in the world. And in that path, I was able to get advice from Usain Bolt, advice from Johan Blake, advice from Coach Mills, advice from so many greats. And that is why, for me, that's a book that I always resonate to and a book that I always want to go back to.
Do you travel with a copy?
Yes.
And how did you come across the book? Did someone say you got to read this, or were you browsing in a bookshop online?
I got it as a gift.
Okay.
I got it as a gift, and someone
Do you
said,
remember
just
from
read
who?
it. No, I actually don't. It was years ago.
Yeah.
And then the copy that I have, because I remember I told my agent about it, and then he actually got it for me for my birthday. He got me like a special edition copy
Oh, nice.
for my birthday, and I still have that copy, and I still have the old one, but I have this a special edition copy, and that's the one that I always go back to because it even has a note for me there. You know, says like he wrote in the book like just keep on dreaming and keep on working towards it.
Music. We're going to play your song in a moment, and you'll tell us about that song. But more broadly, music when you're training and music before a big event.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a go-to playlist?
Yeah, I have the same playlist I've had for the last 10 years.
Take us through it, at least some of it.
It's a lot of South African hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of old school hip hop, like the Notorious B.I.G., the Tupacs, Jay-Z, the old Drake. And then South African will go to Double HP, Pro Kid. So I like a lot of old school music, but then it's a mix between the old of, the good hip hop and, South African hip hop as well.
I'm imagining we were getting ready for let's say a Diamond League final. There's 8 of the world's best sprinters. You're among them. You got your music on. Do any of the other athletes say to you, hey, bro, what you listening to? Do you ever say, hey, come in, or are you too much in the bubble in that moment?
Not on the day of the race. Like I think the pre-meet the day before, we would like if it's a group of South Africans together and meet, would always listen to Amapiano, and they love that now,
Okay.
And they're
So
like,
you're
okay,
spreading
which
the
one is
word.
it? Yeah, we're spreading it, and like, okay, which one is this? And like, Amapiano. I'm like, yeah, Amapiano. That's what we're listening to. It's like, oh, this sounds nice. Especially the Caribbeans love it. The Caribbeans love Amapiano, and it's so like refreshing and nice to be able to share something that is homegrown and something that is from South Africa. Because for me, when I miss home, I always go back to listening to Amapiano, and then because that makes me feel like, okay, I'm getting a bit of home now.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of our guests have said to us, music brings them home and music takes home to them if there's going to be a delay before you do get home. So you've chosen by any means Stogie T with MT and Yanga. It's an older track, 2016. Why out of your big playlists have you given us this one to share?
Because of the fact that it relates so much with The Alchemist, and that is literally me. Always believing in your dreams, always going there and always giving your all to get to your dreams and achieve what you want to achieve. No matter how small your dream is, go at it and do it by any means, because you can achieve it.
So Akani, I think a lot of people are listening, a lot of people are inspired. You're still dreaming, you're still racing, you're going to build some young lives with your foundation, and we really appreciate the time you've given us. Thanks for sharing with us your song, your book, and your dish.
Thank you very much for having me.
In the park, whistling the women showing me love. Come see me, I'm in Switzerland in March. Still ain't had a winter since the start. So it's short sleeves and my work still feel like a short leave. Do your whole tour on my off week. I'm in Austria with black coffee, nigga. And I'm off my bean, insane with the flow. Stogie T, they playing the role. I paved the road, that lane you own is owed to me. Come build with me, I do it well. Pull my fare from a little city that you knew was hell. Europeans greet me, you my bell. It was hard for my babe, we would struggle to pay. She stuck it out with a nigga, now it's hard to figure Saint-Tropez or Champs-Élysées. I'm on a boat, jib, stomach out like Joburg pig. Summertime, ocean dip, album out, it's gold on Knicks. Push up, but they didn't listen. Now they call me and they tell me they just trying to kick it. Say, now you trying to visit. Tired of people acting like I want a lotto ticket. I'm still gon' get it by any means. I'm still gon' get it by any means. I'm gon' go get it by any means. I never panic, dashing through my enemies. What
wanted above me, you hate. My look at the fact that you can't duplicate. Oh wait, y'all niggas can't even sit. It's funny how y'all never doubted the fakes. I'm proud of myself. Still held it down, my batagwa and bad. I keep it coming compared. I show after show, see the money connect. It depend, I'll come and collect. I just hope that you come in correct. Keep your 4 of a kind to your chest. Pray you cope when you're tired and stressed. Ingatin is libeletu. Nasepatin is imeleku. I'm with the ladies, I'm good. I ain't put all this work in and stay in the hood. I ain't come all this way just to play with you dudes. At the end of the day, got your bay in the mood. Mabu yangaya, we good. Young and desirable dudes, I always respect my group. So go learn nabo sahlu, snogole nabo sahlu. Smoke at a high altitude, stogies allowed in my room. We volume see tata go to.
Dalam kutang some push up, but they didn't listen. Now they call me and they tell me they just try to kick it. Say nandi ang salambi, now you trying to visit. Tired of people acting like I want a lot of tickets. Oh, I'm still gon' get it by any means. I'm still gon' get it by any means. I'm gon' go get it by any means. I never panic, dashing through my enemies.
Stogie T by Any Means, one of many tracks that have inspired the remarkable life of Akani Simbine, my guest on A Song, a Book and a Dish. Thanks so much for being with us throughout the week. We've loved that sense we have of the 702 family out there listening to us and connecting on all of the issues. The show put together by Jonathan Fairbairn and Rifue Itsua. Karabo Malapile is our technical producer. I'm John Perlman. I'm hoping to have a great weekend. I'm hoping that you have one too. Good night.
Just kill another show.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. Good evening on your Friday Money Show tonight. SARS calls a weekend press conference to make announcements about Lucky Montana. More details emerge about why the Public Investment Corporation decided to suspend its chief investment officer, process on how they're using AI to speed up search for their customers, why the rand is so strong against the dollar as Donald Trump threatens China with increased tariffs, and in your Friday file tonight, the continuing allure of denim and haute couture. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Maki Molapo. We begin in the north of KwaZulu-Natal, where the ANC is currently holding a memorial service in Empangeni in honor of late Ambassador of KwaZulu-Natal, where the ANC is currently holding a memorial service in Empangeni in honor of late Ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa. The 58-year-old's remains officially touched down on home soil today and were received at the King Shaka International Airport this afternoon by his family, friends and colleagues. Mthethwa died in Paris last week and the cause of his passing is still under investigation.